Good evening, everybody. We'll be starting our meeting. I'd like to ask for a moment of silence on behalf of a member of our community who recently passed away. Fran Monroe was settled in Newburyport. Actually was born in Newburyport, graduated from Newburyport High School in 1951, settled in Newburyport, was very involved in a variety of community endeavors, including at the Immaculate Conception, and she was very involved in our Council on Aging and very involved as an advocate for our senior center. She passed away recently on March 28th, and would like to take a moment to remember her and have her family, her extended family, in our thoughts, and thank her for her many years of advocacy on behalf of a new senior center. So if you could join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if the clerk could call the roll.
Councillor Granis.
Here.
Councillor Harmon.
Here.
Councillor Khan.
Present.
Councillor Lane.
Here.
Councillor McCauley.
Here.
Councillor Preston.
Here.
Councillor Shand.
Present.
Councillor Wright. Councillor Zeid.
Yeah, here, sorry.
Councillor Donahue.
Present.
Councillor Cameron.
Yes. So I would like to entertain a motion from a councillor for us to go, the motion would be for us to go into executive session through a roll call vote for the purposes under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares. And this is in regards to the Lemonios versus City of Newburyport litigation. Would there be a councillor who want to
So
make such a
moved.
motion?
Second.
Okay, I think that was Councillor Zeid and Preston. Okay, and Councillor Wright may be joining us later remotely, but he's not here, so we have a roll call vote on the motion and second of the motion.
Councillor Granis.
Yes.
Councillor Harmon.
Yes.
Councillor Khan.
Yes.
Councillor Lane.
Yes.
Councillor McCauley.
Yes.
Councillor Preston.
Yes.
Councillor Shand.
Yes.
Councillor Wright. Councillor Zeid.
Yes.
Councillor Donahue.
Yes.
Councillor Cameron.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to go into executive session, so anyone who's not here for that would need to leave the room. We will please turn off our microphones. I'm going to turn off the Zoom. We will be coming back into open session, depending on how long that will take. So we All right, where were we? That would lead us so we're out of executive session. Thank you for those who waited outside. That would get us to late file items.
There are 4 late file items this evening. Order 707 is the public art acceptance of Pollinator Passage at the Senior Community Center. And Communication 634, the email from Teamsters Union Local 170 business agent Jim Marks regarding the clerk's office. Those 2 have been slated to move to the regular agenda. Application 260 is the Juneteenth 2025 celebration for June 19th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. to be referred to license and permits. And
Motion to,
order 708, first light petition for the aerial fiber optic cable placement, which was to go to Public Works and Safety.
So a motion to waive the rules and admit the late files except 708, recommend to receive and file.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to accept the late files, including receive and file order 708. All those in favor, say aye.
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 I think
Goes
we're
to
going
public
to do
comment.
a roll call. Waiving the rules.
Roll call.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Mine doesn't show, so wait.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shan?
Yes.
Councillor Wright? Councillor
absent.
Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue? Councillor Cameron?
Yes. All right, thank you. That would get us to public comment. So much. That would lead us to Robert J. Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the City Council. Robert Cronin, 126 Merrimack Street, Unit 46. I'm here tonight to speak briefly on something in your packet, the Rev 250 Celebration Parade. It's on June 28th, which you're all invited to participate in. It's a celebration of the 250th anniversary of the Revolution. The Custom House Maritime Museum, which I happen to be chair of, and the Museum of Old Newbury are hosting the event. We have a budget that includes the parade and several Road to Revolution educational events throughout the city leading up to the 4th of July. Today we happen to christen our Discovery Center at the museum, and this coincides with the Lexington and Concord reenactment that was this past weekend. Bunker Hill is coming up in Gloucester, and then after them, it is us here in Newburyport. We will be marching past historic locations on Federal Street, High Street, around the Mall, down State Street. Electeds are invited from the governor, the mass delegation, all the way throughout all you guys, and we will have contact info on the application, and I'd be much more than willing to show up at a subcommittee meeting, or a committee meeting, I should say, and answer any questions that you might have. And thank you very much.
Thank you. We will also entertain online, if people can have their hands raised up right now. And again, online, I see 2 hands up, so we will call on first James Marks and then Mary Ann Vesey, and that will be it for public comment via remote. So Jim Marks, I think I've allowed you to unmute yourself. 2 minutes, name, address, and something on our current agenda.
Good.
Jim Marks, and I'm a business agent for the Teamsters. I thank you for your time this evening. I sent an email, which I believe is all in your packet tonight. I come in front of you all tonight in frustration for the way recent notification of a Teamster job in the admin's contract is being handled and not being filled. My frustration is on many levels, and the first is trust. I pride myself to be available not only for my members, but for the city as well, trying to cut off problems at the path and discussing solutions to make the city and the Teamsters relationship the best it can be. 2 weeks ago, I was in City Hall, and I was asked by HR Director Donna Drell what needs to be done if the city was thinking about not filling a Teamster job. I notified Ms. Drell that they would need to give me a call so we could have discussions on the impact that it would have by not filling the vacancy. And I asked what position the city was thinking at the time. Ms. Drell said there was no position at this time, but as they reviewed, she wanted to know what the process was. Let's fast forward to the beginning of last week when I received a phone call, not from the city, but from concerned members about this job being left open and not filled. The call was from the city clerk's department, and they said that the mayor had held a meeting with the city clerk and addressed not filling the office manager position. I was in shock because just a few days earlier I was told those positions were in jeopardy, and now I'm finding out the clerks will be losing the position. For anyone who deals with the city, you know the city is a very busy place. There is not a department throughout the city that does not give 100%, and do not have their own challenges. When I look at the position the mayor has decided to eliminate, I think of retaliation for one. There's been a long-standing disagreement with the city and the clerk's office, which most of you are aware of. The position they are looking to leave vacant is the office manager position, whose job includes processing weekly bill payment, warrants, budget management, bi-weekly payroll, process amendments to birth, marriage, and death, essential functions to elections, and much more. To date, the city has still not reached out, but it appears they feel that the process can be moved forward, leaving the Teamsters out of touch. I bring this in front of you tonight to ask that due process be put in place and a real discussion be had whether this is the right position to cut, and can the office possibly absorb the additional work, or will things get left not done? I appreciate your listening to me this evening, and I hope we can address the way the city looks at jobs in the future and the way the city should communicate with labor organizations, such decisions that need.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Ann Vesey, I'm going to allow you to talk. Mary Ann?
Can you hear me?
Yes. 2 minutes, name, address, and topic on the agenda.
Sorry, I'm driving because I'm having trouble hearing. My name is Mary Ann Vesey. I live at 10 Kent Street, and I'm calling in to support a resolution to respect and support our immigrant neighbors and residents. So I hope that you affirm that resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so that will be it for public comment. That would get us to the mayor's comment. Chief of Staff Seer.
Thank you. Hope everyone had a great long weekend for those who were able to celebrate Patriots Day, and happy Easter, happy Passover. I also want to wish a happy birthday to the mayor. Today's the mayor's birthday, so that's why he's not here today. So just a few updates you see in the packet. The debt exclusion vote, as a reminder to residents, is Tuesday, May 13th. Early voting will start on May 3rd at the Senior Center. Again, we want to thank the council for the deliberations on this matter. Also thank the city clerk's office for their hard work. As you can see in this room, they've been working to get the election ready for May 13th. There will be an informational session to the public on April 30th at 7 p.m. at the Senior Community Center. This will just be an information session for residents to learn more about a debt exclusion and what that vote entails. A few other things in your packet, mostly that's coming in. There's FEMA maps. These are floodplain management regulations from our planning director, Andy Port. We just appreciate your consideration. It will also go to the zoning board on May 7th. Another thing is the camera policy. I believe last fall the council passed a surveillance ordinance. You're seeing in your packet today is a draft application policy per the ordinance. I've been working with our IT director and our police marshal to try to find a careful balance of public safety and resident privacy as we use cameras across the city. I also included a memo on how we could maybe update our ordinance as well. Any recommendations as it hopefully is sent to committee. Looking at other towns, they have a much more detailed ordinance just to kind of help smaller towns manage the surveillance issue. It can be quite complicated balancing public safety and privacy, and we want to make sure we're using all the tools we can. Next thing I had was just a budget update. I can share that we have now reviewed all the budgets from all the department heads. We will be submitting the budget for your next council meeting. Just an overall update, we know things are challenging at the moment. Services, contracts have gone up. We also are experiencing some pretty high hike in health insurance this year. So we're dealing with a lot, but we're feeling confident, and we've had a really balanced approach as we prepare for budget season. And we will have those budget hearings later in May and June. Two other quick things, language access. We have Pocket Talk devices. These are devices that help translate from English to other languages. We're going to pilot them. We have 3 devices at the senior center. We're going to try at different departments, and then we do have funding available to fund more devices. This has come up. Actually, recently, I believe there was a story of the police department where they said that it would have been great if they had one of those devices. It's important to note that these devices are HIPAA compliant, so that way if you do have a public safety emergency and you need to keep things private, instead of just using a phone, you can have a secure device for confidentiality. And then you might have seen all the construction around town. We have construction season. I will say I'm personally excited about Noble Street, but there's construction at Beck Street, Ship Street, Smith Street, Ashland Court, Independence Street, and Butler Street this week. And again, thank our DPS team for their work and our contractors. And we're going to do more to make sure we communicate to residents when the work is continuing. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions for the Chief of Staff, Councilor McCauley?
Yeah, so I appreciate you delivering the mayor's message. One of the things we had during deliberations last time was that we were going to get a better budget update than we're trying real hard. We were told that we'd have real numbers, similar to the way we had numbers in the school. So can you share with us what our target number is?
So, sorry, for what?
For the
Percent
budget increase.
The total amount, total levy?
I don't care about that. The increase in the budget, the increase in the budget this year from last year.
I do not have those numbers off the top of my head. We can. We are planning on having a public forum, as you mentioned at the last
I don't want a public forum. We were told at the last meeting that we would have them today. So I will make a motion that we pause this meeting until we get this answer going forward. Is there a second on that?
Second.
So, Council President,
Discussion? Yep.
we were told in the deliberations, it's in the meeting, it's on the Zoom, that we were going to get a percentage number on the budget last year, at the last meeting, of what it was going to be this year going forward at this meeting, and saying that we're going to try real hard isn't the answer. So, Council will ask, but...
Just, if I may.
Okay, Councilor Preston, then we'll let the Chief of
Yeah,
Staff
I just wanted to
speak.
give some context around that. So it was during the discussion, I was actually the one driving the discussion about my desire to have budget numbers in front of the public before the May 13th vote, and there was a commitment at the meeting from you that you would have a communication for us at this meeting that gave detail of the budget.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Council President. That was dismissed in council deliberation. You shook your head and said that was not enough.
Are you suggesting that I did not want that? Because I can very much assure you, I walked out of that meeting with an expectation, and I wanted it. He's dismissing my request and telling me what my request was. I want to be crystal clear, that was not a dismissal of my request. I wanted that.
Okay.
So is it something, again, what is the exact percentage that you are looking for, councilors? is it increase over year, year over year, target increase, levy increase?
Councilor Preston, and then,
All of the above would be wonderful to have. Again, the expectation was that the public, not just the council, the public would have an understanding of what the increases in the budget would be for this fiscal year.
So, yes, thank you. We are planning on having a public meeting before the special election to present the public with the budget. We just had our final budget meeting with a department head. That's what I just reported. We're happy to have that.
Councilor
to
Preston,
report.
and then
Thank you.
others want to, so we have a motion to pause the meeting until this information is provided.
Again, the expectation and the commitment at the last council meeting was that it would be available for this council meeting. It was not for some future forum. There was no future forum even discussed at the last meeting that for us to coalesce around that particular date. It was, the expectation was set and the commitment was made to have that information available tonight for this council meeting.
Councilor Khan?
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I guess I'll just say I actually am trying to now recollect what the outcome was from the conversation, so my apologies. I do remember that we did say that it would be very helpful to get those, an idea of that. So but I couldn't remember what it would look like. So maybe what I would suggest is, given that we do have some other items on the agenda, what we could do, and I'm wondering, can we table this till a little bit later in our meeting? At that time, I think maybe we could ask the Chief of Staff to consult with the Finance Director. And really, I think we're trying to, like the schools do, they always show the percent difference from last year. And I think that is one element. And if there's additional elements, perhaps maybe in the future, an email through Council President to also ensure that that was in our packet, or as Council President was putting this together. But it looks like we don't have anything really written up on it. But I would say maybe not to pause the meeting, but to maybe table it for maybe during Budget and Finance. Maybe we could have it somewhere there, and then you could talk to Director Manning, hopefully get them on the phone and get some of those answers.
Councilor McCollum?
Yeah, I'd like to, I'll make an amendment with taking the lead from the at-large council to say that we expect an answer by 9 p.m.
That's fair.
Second.
Second.
All right, so are we tabling them? Did you make a motion to table the motion, or the motion's been amended to 9 o'clock?
I think the amendment, to 9 o'clock makes sense.
Okay.
I just didn't want to pause us here.
Okay, any further discussion? Councilor Preston?
I would just like to make sure that that is in a written format that can be distributed to the public by the end of the meeting tonight. This is, and more importantly than just us, this is something that I want the people of Newburyport to be able to find on the city website tomorrow morning, click through and understand for themselves.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion as amended?
If I may.
Chief of Staff? Yeah.
My concern, again, is if you have numbers presented to the public that are not finalized, you're going to have different sets of information. So if we're pre-baking it, that's my concern. Is we have what we have now, but that's like version 1. You go through it, and then you have what we are going to present. So I think that's I just want to represent that concern, is we can have those numbers, but public information is you're going to have any changes, and then obviously when the council makes changes as well. So that would be my concern, especially when it's kind of rushed between 7:30 and 9 o'clock.
Okay, Councilor Khan, Councilor Preston?
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's preliminary, and like I said, like the school committee or they go through different iterations that are in the public realm.
Yeah.
I think it should be, my guess is, given that we're going to get this at the next meeting, May 12th, we're getting the budget. We hope it's at a point that maybe you could just say this is our preliminary, I don't know what the terminology is, subject to change, but this is, given that we're going to be getting it by our next meeting, I think something like that would be helpful. And you could put the disclaimer, like some kind of a footnote, but I think you know what we're trying to get to, because that was something that we wanted to ensure. Even the public informational hearing as well, I would add additional thing, a suggestion that's also talked about there too, and that would be a better time. I would think by April 30th, we'll have more of robust information, and I would really ask that that be a portion of that informational session. Thank you.
Councilor Preston, Councilor
Yeah,
Zede.
I too understand the concern, but again, this is a commitment that you made 3 weeks ago, and you should have been planning for that. This shouldn't have been a surprise for you. Again, this was a commitment that you made standing right there, that you would do this for tonight. So I understand your perspective, but at the same token, you've had 3 weeks to plan for this, and it should have been presented tonight. It shouldn't have to be done between now and 9 o'clock. That's really ultimately on you.
But point of order, we did have our packet on Thursday. If it slipped, like I said, I didn't know about it either. I kind of forgot. So if this was, it would have been good to have reached out to administration. It could have been here as a late file. Like I said, I really didn't have that on my radar, and I don't know if others were expecting it. If you guys were all expecting it and it wasn't in the packet on Thursday, how many were expecting it tonight? 1, 2, 3. So if there was only 3 of us that were expecting it, it would have been nice to have just reached out to Council President that should have been in. This is not the way to do it. I feel bad. I think we're kind of losing. We should just be respectful of each other, but this is, we just need to be more
Okay, point of order.
respectful.
Preston, then Councilor Reed.
I anticipated, since it wasn't there, that it would be a part of the mayor's report. For whatever reason, the mayor's report tonight, for the first time ever, wasn't in an email to us. It appeared on the desk. So I expected that it would be a part of the mayor's report, and it wasn't. And that's why I hadn't said something before now.
Councilor Zede.
All I would just offer as chair of budget is, if you're going to produce something for us tonight, please just try and understand the spirit of the request so that we don't have more frustration. The levy's going to go up by 2.5%. I have a crystal ball. It's going to go up by 2.5%. You want to understand better the impact on residents and taxpayers, so I think the finance director will understand that. I don't know what you can do in an hour and a half, but in an effort to make the next hour and a half better than the last 15 minutes, I'm just suggesting that to you. And so I don't know if that helps, but trying to help as best I can.
Councilor McCollum.
I yield.
Further discussion? Councilor Lane.
I just want to add, I was expecting it with the intent of having it before, with the public to have enough information about the budget moving forward before the vote. That was a main point of contention with moving dates and trying to figure out, and that's why the assurance was there that they'll have plenty of time to digest this information to make an informed decision. Excuse me, when I first raised my hand, it kind of goes hand in hand with what I was going to say. The calculator that is used and widely spread, if you just pull up that calculator, I did it today and it came up as $10, and I kept seeing $10, $10, $10 online. People are like, oh, it's only $10. It's deceiving, because that pulls up a number of $619,000 as a valuation by default. So unless you go back in and you put it in the calculator, what the information pops up as your assessment, because when I saw it, I was excited. I'm like, my assessment went down by $300,000. I was all but ready to march right down here and say, my assessment's $619, not $938. So that's what we're putting out there. So this kind of is in the same breath of, I agreed to a vote. I want full democracy on this. I want people to make informed decisions, but exactly that. It's got to be an informed decision. And it's not feeling very transparent to me, hitting that calculator today and now not having the budget numbers till the day before the election. So it's getting harder and harder. Like, I've tried to compromise, and I understand both sides here, but it's really getting to the point where I'm like, you're baking the cake, but you're not sharing all the ingredients.
May I, if I may?
Yeah, sure.
Just for clarity, I think just for a disclaimer on the calculator for residents listening, you do have to go and import. If you did put a previous number, your cache will automatically have whatever your cookies had for the previous number. So we have that disclaimer. Always do look up, it's from your last year's tax. The other thing just to keep in mind, due to both campaign finance laws, the city is only able to inform so much. So it's what's on our website, and then just have what is a debt exclusion. So a lot of that information about the project, about what is now in the hands of the ballot committees that have been formed, meaning that there's only so much the city can actually put resources towards. And that's just a statutory thing. So we're trying to balance that to make sure people are informed, and then also hope that there's robust debate among, outside of the city's hallways, in the ballot committees that have now formed. So I understand that frustration. I just want to also know that's a frustration of us as well, as we are kind of limited by that. Just wanted to note that.
Councillor Lane?
Just real quick, it's more than, it's more than that. It's not in the cachet, it's everybody. Everybody gets that 619 number. So the idea here is that everybody is informed with full transparency, full information. That's not full transparency, because you're seeing people out there saying, $10. It's only going to cost me $10 a year. And that's with the high school debt dropping off. So that which is a city informational tool is the deck's fixed. So it's not truly being neutral and letting people vote and make their own decision. It's influencing the vote, you could say, which to me gives me a lot of heartburn. As someone who compromise and want the people to say yes or no, make it fair. That was my initial point when, what's the rush? Push the date out. Have the election in November when it wouldn't cost us 50 grand. We could have done that, and people would have had full information. But this is, just watching this from the very beginning, let's buy the land. Just kidding, it's going to be parks. Oh, it's not going to be parks anymore. We're going to have a committee to find the best site. Well, there was better sites, but no, we want it there. So this is just like an echo chamber of pushing this thing through. And it's getting real frustrating, completely frustrating, that it's not a fair and equitable decision. Because, again, there's people that won't come forward and they won't say anything, and that's why I'm here. Because I've heard many people who are scared out of their wits to even come out and say anything, because they see online, they see how people are jumped on, looked at, talked about. People, this is a community center. It shouldn't be a point of contention to hate your neighbors because they have a different opinion. So this, not having this number irks me. Going on the website today, putting in my evaluation as 619, and then I reached out to somebody on the committee who told me, no, you have to go back in and enter the right information. Well, why is it coming up with information that's skewed towards a certain direction? This has to be a neutral, fair vote, and it's not. Just call it what it is. It's not.
Councillor Harmon, we've not heard from, and then Macaulay and Khan.
Thank you. In an attempt not to sort of fan flames of a heated moment, I went to the tax impact calculator. The default number in my browser is the average assessed value, which is $1,029. I've used this tool before. I've gone and looked up my home value. So I think just to say one person's experience is not equivalent to every person's experience, I'm looking at it right in front of me. So in my mind, and in the spirit of what I'd like to say, which is just sort of truth and not spreading, assumptions around, I was the one who invited the Chief of Staff and the Director of Finance to come forward during the last discussion around the date of the vote in order to find out what was possible. And I feel the need to say my recollection, which is pretty clear, was there was some follow-up question from a couple of councillors to ask what would that look like, and the description of what they thought they could pull together for a presentation. The way that they described it, the response was that was not good enough. And that is why, to the at-large councillor's point, I didn't raise my hand in terms of expecting to see something tonight, because it didn't seem like there was any agreement that was going to satisfy anyone's needs. I have strong misgivings about trying to rush something by 9 o'clock tonight that we release to the public that is not the best work and not the most accurate work that that I think we have great folks on staff that want to stand by that, and I think we should give them the time to do that. I also believe that if there had been agreement to do that tonight, that they would have brought forward something they could stand behind. But I think rushing them in now an hour and 10 minutes to bring something together is not in the spirit of what I hear my colleagues asking for, which is to arm people with more information, reliable information. And I agree with that. I don't, I want this vote to go forward with people feeling confident and comfortable that they can make the best decision for themselves. And I don't want to force something that is going to only make things less clear and create more question marks and more fodder for people having conspiracy theories about, whether or not we're actually, trying to be straight with people, because I think we are. I think we all are. And I just want us to be careful about the way that we pursue that common goal, so that we don't mess up and get people thinking that one thing is the number and then see that shift for some reason. So I would rather wait until the 30th. I think that gives people, 2 weeks before the vote to, if that is the administration's plan, I just learned that tonight, to present a more thorough readout on the budget. I think that would be great, but I'm a little nervous and anxious about trying to rush something. It just doesn't feel like a responsible move.
Councilor McCauley?
Yeah, so I was at first going to ask just that we move the question forward, but I do have to respond. So, and I apologize for that. I think it's presumptuous to, from the comments from the Ward 4 councillor, to tell us what we were expecting or not expecting. It is clear in the Zoom recordings that we were expecting a real number here going forward. It was a commitment made that we were going to have the same type of number and same type of discussion that we had with the schools in November. So asking the administration to put together some numbers where they've met with all the department heads, the contracts are all done, it's going to print to the printers next week, and now the plan is to show it to the public before they show it to us in the council, I think is just bananas. So what are we asking here? I think that what we're asking for here is very simple, that we ask the administration to live up to the commitment that they made to us, to give us a snapshot as to where this budget is going. And I'm sure and confident that the work that can be done in an hour or so to deliver back to us a crisp number that is version 1 of many versions that go on, I think is a very doable thing. And with that, I hope my colleagues can see that to vote yes on that as well.
Okay, so we have a motion as amended on the floor. Any further discussion? Okay, so we'll do a roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
No.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright is absent. Councillor Zeeb?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
No.
Councillor Cameron?
No.
So,
So it passes. Okay.
So I just have a written version of that sent to me for me and the finance director.
I'm sorry?
Can we just have a written version of the order of what we need to do in the next 90 minutes? Just to be very clear on exactly what we are
The
delivering.
clerk is a little busy right now running a council meeting.
Councilor Preston.
Clear what he's asking. Not sure.
I mean, we're not going to be able to give it to you in writing. So what are we looking for? We're looking for a budget number?
So total number for FY26, and an increase, the percent increase year over year.
Per department.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chair. We need clarity. It's numbers that we need to have. We can't just go make numbers in an hour. Like, that's just a challenge, and it's just disingenuous to the public of just, like, we need to know, like, what exactly are we reporting? And I do apologize to the councillor if there was a misunderstanding here, but there was communication between last meeting and this meeting, and this was never mentioned. So
Point of order.
So we
just-
passed the motion.
Yeah, we
and
passed the
just
motion.
do the best
The
we can.
council has spoken. Ask your questions about what you need. We've told you what we need. I think that would be it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Any other questions from yours?
I think that's good.
No communication since our last.
Okay, that would get us to the consent agenda.
The consent agenda this evening consists of the approval of the minutes for the meeting of March 31st, 2025. Communications, there's 5 applications. Application 255 is the Newburyport Lions bed race for July 31st, running from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. with a rain date of August 1st to go to licenses and permits. Application 256, the Newburyport Lions Club Yankee Homecoming Road Races, July 29th, from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. to go to licenses and permits. Application 257, Chamber of Commerce Spring Fest from May 24th and 25th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. to license and permits. Application 258, the Newburyport Chocolate Tour, October 4th, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. to license and permits. Application 259, the Revolutionary War Parade, June 28th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. to license and permits. For communications, there is Communication 627, a letter from Jim McCarthy regarding the landscape design for the Senior Center Drive and the CPC Resilience Garden, to go to Budget and Finance and Committee of the Whole. Communication 628, a petition submitted by Elaine Paglia to address rising taxes and promote responsible spending, to go to Budget and Finance. Communication 629, the wastewater treatment facility flood walls and pumps project, to go to Public Works and Safety. Communication 630, the budget memo from Councillors with a schedule, to be received and filed. Communication 631, a memo from the administration on surveillance policy, to go to Public Works and Safety. Communication 632, email from Finance Director to the Enrichment Coordinator regarding the Pride Parade insurance that goes with application 247, which is coming out of license and permits. Communication 633, the memo on the 2025 FEMA flood insurance rate map zoning update, to go to Planning and Development and Committee of the Whole. There are no transfers. The appointments this evening: appointment 538, Karen Weiner, 7 Lincoln Street, to reappointment to the Affordable Housing Trust until 2/1/27, to go to Planning and Development. Appointment 539, Madeline Nash, 19 Arlington Street, reappointment to the Affordable Housing Trust, 5/1/27, to Planning and Development. Appointment 540, Stephen Moore, 10 North Atkinson Street, reappointment to the Conservation Commission, 5/1/28, to Planning and Development. Appointment 541, Wilford Paul Suazo Jr., 7 Hunter Drive, reappointment to Water Sewer Commission, 5/1/27, to Public Works and Safety. Appointment 542, Andrew Bernhardt, 35 Oakland Street, reappointment to the Historical Commission, 5/1/28. Appointment 543, Kevin Hunt, 14 10th Street, Newbury, reappointment Veterans Agent, 5/1/26, to Community Services. Appointment 544, Paul Hogg, 4 Wildwood Drive, reappointment as Harbor Master and Special Police Officer, 5/1/28, to Public Works and Safety. Appointment 545, Kim Turner, 27 High Street, reappointment to the Public Arts Committee until 5/15/26, to go to Community Services. Appointment 547, Jared Eigerman, 83 High Street, to the Zoning Board of Appeals until 6/1/28, to Planning and Development. Appointment 548, Janet Daisley, 3 Beck Street, to the Conservation Commission until 6/1/28, to Planning and Development. Appointment 549, Diana Carey, 33 Temple Street, Board of Registrars, 3/1/26, to go to General Government. Appointment 550, Daniel Warchall, 47 Plummer Ave, a reappointment to the Conservation Commission until 5/1/28, to Planning and Development. Appointment 551, Stephen Delisle, 195 High Street, reappointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals until 5/31/2030, to Planning and Development. The following orders will be continued until a date certain, May 12th, 2025. Order 702, the grant acceptance firefighter safety equipment, $2,587.50. Order 703, gift acceptance to City Improvement Society, $2,500. Order 704, gift acceptance a Center Park Bench for $5,000. Order 705, gift acceptance to Garibaldi Park Bench, $5,000. All items below are removed from the respective committees with a motion to approve the consent. Budget and Finance, Order 697 and Transfer 218, Community Services, Communications 618, General Government, Orders 648, 650, and 651, License and Permits, Applications 246, 247, 248, 250, and 254, Public Works and Safety Ordinance 197, and that is the consent agenda.
Is the wish of the council. Councilor Preston, Councilor Khan.
Yeah, motion to remove appointment 545.
545.
Don't need a second, you're good.
And then, oh,
Councilor Khan?
I think Councilor Z. Yeah, also, can we, sorry, if it's okay to just ask a question, Historical Commission doesn't go to Planning and Development anymore for?
I was wondering that myself. I hadn't noticed
It
that.
doesn't, I'll ask the chair. It doesn't have to. Okay,
Have to.
all right, thank you.
All right, Councilor Z.
Just a few to remove. Communication 627, please, to be out. Letter from Jim McCarthy. Communication 629, wastewater treatment facility flood walls and pumps project. Communication 630, budget memo from myself with schedule. And then also appointment 547, Jared Eigerman, ZBA. And then last thing is I'm not going to make a motion, but there are other commissions that also mandate to be referred, so I'll defer to the committee chairs. But Affordable Housing Trust is not on the list of mandated, doesn't mean they can't. So there's a few in there,
Okay.
but I'll stop there. And I'll add in to the motion, or motion to approve then, as amended, and to collectively receive and file the mayor's update.
Second.
Okay. Councilor Macaulay?
Well, I have an amendment, so even though item communication 628, instead of budget and finance, should go to community services.
It's friendly.
Friendly.
We have enough to do,
So 628 to community services
Services.
instead of budget finance. Okay. All right. Anything else, Councilor Macaulay?
No, thank you.
Councilor Shand?
Let's remove appointment 538 and 539.
Second.
Okay. From referral to committee.
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion by Councilor Z to approve the consent agenda as amended. And remind me who seconded that? Somebody did? Councilor Harmon? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And we will try to keep track of all those. That would lead us to the regular agenda.
So the regular agenda, 627, Communication 627, is the letter from Jim McCarthy, Landscape Design Senior Center Drive.
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Councilor Z?
I'll cover this more during a committee with the CPA, but I'm informed that the associated project, the CPC Resilience Garden, has been withdrawn. The application's been withdrawn. So I don't see a need for it to come to committee at this point, this letter, as it relates to it. This letter was also circulated to councilors like 2 weeks ago, just as resident feedback, and now, so appreciate you considering receiving and filing it instead of sending
Motion made and seconded to receive and file Communication 627. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So next would be Communication 629.
Okay, motion to refer to Public Works and Safety.
Second.
Thank you. I just asked for this to be out, just trying to gain as much awareness in Ward 1 for this project. It's a substantive project to build flood walls around the wastewater treatment facility. I have met with staff about it, and then there was a little neighborhood meeting last week, but it's a substantive project. And for councilors, if it's been a little while since we had a ping on this project, actually. So I encourage you to check it out. If you have any questions, I might be able to help since I'm pretty well read in on it at this point. And not mentioned here, but is also that the clarifier, the third clarifier project, is also continuing basically in parallel, and will probably be shovel ready at about the same time, although it's not clear exactly what will be proposed to actually be funded. So my main thing is for my ward, though, this is going to be a fairly big thing, and certainly just the construction, but then the finished project as well. I'm sure Public Works and Safety will run it to ground. Thank you.
Okay, so if no further discussion, motion made to refer this to Public Works and Safety. Made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
That brings us to Communications 630, Budget Memo from Councillors Eid.
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
I just wanted to say 3 things on the way in and on the way out. One is the schedule reflects a continuation of the memo I sent back in February, where we're sort of splitting the CIP and the budget process. That requires trade-offs to be made. The hardest part of this strategy is that there will almost certainly be some departments that we will not be able to meet with because of the time constraints, but it's very hard for me to know which ones we should or shouldn't meet, not having seen the budget, and you all not having seen the budget. So I ask for your patience as we try this out and see if it helps, but I think that was a clear desire, was to create some separation. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is, I was asked, and it was a good question I neglected, but I intend to do 6 to 8 p.m. on all of these again. That seemed to be very consistent and was very predictable for everybody. So we'll count on 6 to 8 p.m. for all of them. And finally, many have asked, so just to throw it out there again, June 18th is the projected special city council meeting to adjudicate the budget, and that fits in with the 45 days and all those different pieces. So June 18th will be, obviously the president will call it, but is the projected special meeting. So see you there. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Eid. Motion to receive and file. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
And I think we need to jump back to appointments. We had a few of those pulled out. Councillor
thank you.
Shan, were you just taking off Planning and Development as the referring for those two? Is it?
No, I would like to
I'd like to actually do them. Okay. So the first one is appointment 538, Carolyn Weiner, 7 Lincoln Street, reappointment to the Affordable Housing Trust until 2/1/27.
motion to approve on first reading.
Second.
Any discussion? So collectively on both of those, and we don't need a roll call. We will on the second reading, but
Correct.
Councillor Shand.
So yes, I mean, Ms. Weiner and Ms. Namash are known entities for the Affordable Housing Trust, so I don't see any need to bring them in for another hearing to reappoint them. I think it's probably an easy vote for us.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay.
So
Motion.
is that collectively 38 and 39 or just
Yes.
38?
38
Okay.
and 39.
Second.
Okay, first reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, so that brings us to appointment 545, Kim Turner, 27 High Street, reappointment to the Public Arts Committee, 5/15/2026.
Motion to approve on first reading.
Second.
Discussion?
Oh,
Councillor
sorry.
Preston?
No, you motioned. I can.
Much like my fellow at-large counselor just said, regarding the Affordable Housing Trust, certainly Ms. Turner is very familiar to all of us. This is a reappointment to the Public Arts Committee, and I really don't feel the need to bring her in front of committee to move that forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Seed?
Yeah, I too have no objection to the appointment, but my question is, it's been a minute since I remembered the composition of this. Is this being appointed as a resident or as the special projects manager? And I can't remember what the slotting is on that.
Councillor Preston?
So she is the mayor's appointee on this from the administration. So she is not here as a resident. We do have residents on the Public Arts Committee, but there is one mayoral appointment. She is from the staff, and she is the mayoral appointment.
Councillor McCauley?
Yeah, just to add to that, the staff appointments have a 1-year term. So that's why you'll see rotating. It could be at the time, we could rotate other people through that position as well. We gave them the flexibility to do that.
Okay.
Can I just add very briefly to that?
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, so Councilor McCauley is correct on that. The actual residence on the Public Arts Committee, I believe, is 3 years, but only the mayoral appointment of staff is the 1 year.
Okay, any further discussion? Motion was made for approval on a first reading. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
And that brings us to appointment 547, Jared Eigerman, 83 High Street, Zoning Board of Appeals, 6/1/28.
Motion to waive the rules and approve on first reading.
Second.
Motion made and seconded for first reading approval. Discussion? Councillor Khan, Councillor Shand?
Councillor Eigenman, we know, he was on the ZBA before. He's councillor for 8 years. I think he's also a known entity, so I would recommend approval on first reading.
Councillor Khan, Councillor Donahue?
Just a point, Councilor Wright is online.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Excuse me.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. Yeah, I was going to agree. I think it's someone we know, so I was definitely, and a lot of experience. Great to see former Councilor Eigenman be serving this role for the city. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Donahue?
I'm going to actually yield.
Okay. All right, we're calling in Councillor Wright here. Trying to promote him to a panelist. Councillor Wright, welcome.
Right here, right there.
Thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I had been looking for you and missed you, and then was told you're there, so we can hear you fine, and let us know that you can hear us. We're we've got a motion for appointment 547 Jared Eigerman to the ZBA. If you were paying attention, which I'm sure you were, you could vote on that. We're going to do first reading. Any further discussion? We'll do a roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Present.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes, thank you.
Back to communications. For communications 634, the late file email from Teamster Union Local 170 Business Agent Jim Marks regarding the clerk's office.
Motion to refer to general government?
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to refer to general government. Discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Second reading appointments. Appointment 536 is the reappointment of Rosemary DC from 8 Fenders Ave to the Council on Aging until 6/1/2030.
Motion approved on second reading.
Second.
Okay, second reading. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on Rosemary DC? Hearing none. Roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Appointment 537, second reading of Julia Goffredson, 10.5 Christopher Street, to the Conservation Commission until 6/15/28.
Motion approved on second reading.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor, a roll call.
Councillor Granis? Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Orders, there's one order that was continued. It's Order 699, the gift acceptance PPA for $2,800.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright? Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Dennehill? Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Order 701 is a resolution reaffirming support for immigrants and condemning unlawful immigration enforcement practices.
Motion to send to general government?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to go to general government. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Sorry, Councillor Khan.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I just wanted to just make sure I introduced it. I am sending it to general government. We could have done an emergency preamble, but I do recognize that this is a good opportunity. I believe Marshall Simons went and spoke to the Human Rights Commission about some Know Your Rights things for the community. It might be another opportunity for us to also invite our law enforcement, and good for the public to know about. And I didn't make it committee of the whole. I didn't know if folks wanted me to, but I was just going to leave it as it is. But if there is any desire to, just feel free to weigh in. And ultimately, would love to see if the whole council also wants to sign on to it. Let me bring it out on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call on the motion to refer to general government.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
No.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Order 706 is surveillance technology use application policy draft.
Motion to send to PWS.
Second.
Okay, motion made to refer to Public Works and Safety, made and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Order 707 is the late file public art acceptance of Pollinator Passage at the Senior Community Center.
Motion to waive the rules and have an emergency preamble and approve.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Yeah, so I was in attendance at the Public Art Committee meeting as they wrapped up what they were doing and inventory, et cetera. It was very interesting meeting going forward. And one of the things that they wanted to do and had been preparing for is to create a public art pollinator passage. They're painting a building that's out there, that's city property going forward. They have the artist, they have the design. It's a butterfly. They hope that it becomes an Instagram type of picture. They hope to put the pollinator garden on the dead grass that you see here in the picture along the way going forward. They'd like to get this motion. They'd like to get this in motion. There's a lot of planning that has to happen, and one of the things that was slightly overlooked was that the council on city property would need to offer its approval on that. We'd like to keep them on track going forward, so I ask if no one has any objections to that, that we authorize them to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? So order 707, emergency preamble and motion to approve. Roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to ordinances. There's two second readings. The first is ordinance 196, density zoning change for the BSOD, as amended at the last meeting.
Motion to approve on second reading.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve by Councilor Zede and Shand. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Councillor Granis? Yes. Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
The second reading ordinance is ordinance 199 to amend municipal fees schedule section 2-1 and 2-B for parking fees, boats, docks, and waterways.
Motion to approve on second reading.
Second.
Okay. Motion made by Councilor Zede, seconded by Granis or Harmon. Harmon.
Sure.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, roll call.
Counselor Granis? Counselor Harmon?
Yes.
Counselor Khan?
Yes.
Counselor Lane?
Yes.
Counselor McCauley?
Yes.
Counselor Preston?
Yes.
Counselor Shand?
Yes.
Counselor Wright?
Yes.
Counselor Zede?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Cameron?
Yes.
Ordinance 200 is to amend Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 5 with respect to the fire department.
Motion to,
Waive the rules and
motion to waive the rules and to approve on first reading.
an emergency.
Emergency preamble too?
You need to
Make
have
a motion, waive emergency and approve. And Councilor Zede, yeah.
Yeah, I just will remind that this will bring our ordinance consistent with the union contract that the council approved, so I think the emergency here is it's probably the best to bring the law into compliance or get things aligned sooner rather than later. We did do a considerable amount of vetting during that process, so I don't know what more committee time would serve. And there'll be a second reading if there's any cooling off questions.
All right, so this would be to approve this evening. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just want to make sure we read it in there, that it takes what we had in there for one permanent chief, one deputy chief, 4 permanent lieutenants, and 28 firefighters going forward, and changes that, aligns it with the contract to be 1 permanent chief, one deputy chief, 4 permanent captains, 4 permanent lieutenants, and 24 permanent firefighters. The 4 dispatchers now will come from on-call as they have before, but they are actually listed in our contract now going forward. So I've tried to capture all of that going forward and working with the chief. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? All right, roll call on ordinance 200.
Counselor Granis? Yes. Counselor Harmon?
Yes.
Counselor Khan?
Yes.
Counselor Lane?
Yes.
Counselor McCauley?
Yes.
Counselor Preston?
Yes.
Counselor Shand?
Yes.
Counselor Wright?
Yes.
Counselor Zede?
No.
Counselor Donahue?
No.
Counselor Cameron?
Yes.
Ordinance 201 is an amendment to Chapter 12, Article 3, Section 12-54 with respect to sidewalks.
Motion.
Councilor Donahue?
Motion to refer to Public Works and Safety.
Okay.
Second.
So motion made by Councilor
And
Khan.
Committee of the Whole, I think we should add.
Yes. please.
Public Works and Safety, Committee of the Whole, made by Councilor Khan, seconded by Councilor Donahue. Discussion? Councilor McCauley?
Yeah,
Wait,
I'm a bit curious as to,
Just have to introduce it.
yeah.
well, I know,
Sorry,
Okay, I'm sorry.
I missed Councilor
I'm sorry,
Donahue's
please
hand.
introduce it.
Okay,
Didn't
thank
see
you.
it.
So, yes, and I'm sure you are confused. This is to replace what I submitted in December, basically in the conversation. This is a very different approach that comes months after months of compromise and conversations with DPS, and I'm hoping we can have a more robust conversation in committee about the merits of allowing DPS to have this purview and therefore streamline our sidewalk repair and maintenance moving forward. So it doesn't affect the DOD at all, to be clear, and it essentially is just really slightly tweaking the language that is currently there and shifting basically the ability to still have brick sidewalks is not going anywhere. It's just that we're basically asking that, the payment that goes to that continues to go to that when they ask for it to be redone, when the city goes to redo it. That's the soundest way we found to move forward doing the brick out of the DOD, so outside of the DOD. It's a pretty reasonable compromise in my opinion, and I hope that many of you will join the conversation that will be Committee of the Whole. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion? Councilor McCauley?
Just a quick question, this will be Committee of the Whole? It's not listed as that? Okay.
That is what
It
was
was
said.
meant to be.
Public
Yes.
Works and
Sorry.
Safety and
Yep.
Committee of the Whole. Yep. Councilor Zede?
My hesitation with referral to committee is just that we're 2 weeks away from getting the budget, and I know we've had, or 3 weeks away, I know we've had a lot of conversation about how we manage workload, and I'm just questioning if we have the bandwidth to give this the attention it deserves. I mean, the councilors put in time, and that needs to be respected. At the same time, it's tough to consider ordinances in the middle of budgets. I don't know if, we can send it to committee and hope that it stays there long enough that eyes can go on it. I just want it to get its due attention. That's just my concern.
Thank you. All right, motion on the floor is referral to Public Works and Safety and Committee of the Whole. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Ordinance 202, zoning amendment for FEMA flood insurance rate map zoning updates 2025.
Motion to refer to Planning and Development Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Okay, motion made to refer to Planning and Development and Committee of the Whole. Councillor Preston?
Sorry. That was a quick up and down on you. So this is just to update the zoning ordinance to get us in FEMA compliance so that residents can continue to be eligible for FEMA flood insurance. I was actually quite surprised when we did get the FEMA maps that the majority of the changes are in the catchment area and almost exclusively on property that's already owned by the city. So my surprise also leads to a bit of my concern with this is the fact that there aren't more flood-prone areas such as Water Street and Plum Island. And not that I am looking for those areas to flood, but my concern is that the next version of the map may have really significant changes, and I would rather we had incremental change as opposed to not a lot of change now and rather significant changes at the next time. But ultimately, it's really up to the federal government. It's not something that we control. So, and we would expect that maybe the next maps would be somewhere in the next 5 years. Again, though, that's really on the federal government and not us. So.
Okay, motion, thank you. Motion made to refer to Planning and Development Committee of the Whole. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
That brings you to committee items.
Okay.
Councillor Zede?
So we'll go through the CPC projects, which is Order 697. Promise, excitement, and curveballs. Motion to approve project number 1, People's United Methodist Church, request of $90,000, recommendation of $90,000. This is the church on Purchase Street, which is utilized as Ward 1 Mainland polling station. They are in desperate need of a new roof and are trying to get that project done. It's been patched a number of times and simply has reached the end of its life. The total estimate for the project is $96,000. They asked for $90,000. They intend to fundraise for the remaining $6,000. This project comes to us under the category of historic preservation. The building does have a preservation restriction on it, and they have met with the Historical Commission, and the Historical Commission is in support of them and offered a letter of support as well. And we had some public comment about the importance of this facility for the community and the events that they host and so forth. And the Preservation Trust actually had stepped in some years ago to help craft the preservation restriction, and it is well covered. The committee recommends this project 3-0.
Further discussion? All those in favor, roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Motion to approve project number 2, preservation of foundation beams and piers, Newburyport Art Association, $45,000 request, $45,000 recommendation.
Second.
We had the applicant appear before us on this one as well. There was an initial request for more, but it was trimmed down to really meet CPC eligibility. It is to include repair and replacement of the piers. The Art Association, if you're not familiar, is on Water Street, and building apparently has been discovered to have some structural issues and so forth that need to be addressed through this. So the trimming back still leaves intact what the board of the Art Association felt was the most critical stuff, and that is exactly what you read about here, the foundation and so forth. They're really, they had, the other requests were really around things like insulation and so forth, and that's what they trimmed back to keep the CPC in line, and happy with that. They are applying for grants in case there are any overages that come about, and they expect to be able to do this work July of next year. The committee recommended this 3-0 as well.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call on preservation of foundation
Councillor Granis?
and piers.
Councillor Granis? Yes. Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Dennehy?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Motion to approve project number 3, accessibility lift at the Custom House, Children's Discovery Center, Custom House Maritime Museum, 52K ask, 52K recommend.
Second.
This is project number 3, presented by James Russell and committee. We discussed a little bit of their recent efforts around masonry and so forth, and they continue to work on those. But in this specific case, what they are asking for is, this is part of a broader project where they're creating a new, what they're calling a discovery center for visitors, particularly for kids. And they have been able to raise about $120,000 to fit out and renovate the space, and they're even making efforts to try and hire a program manager to help. The challenge they're running into is that they are having difficulty attracting school groups because of accessibility. So absent accessibility, obviously, they are not suitable to host. It is not required by law that they do this because of the building's historic status, but they obviously feel it's important, and they are trying to make this improvement to help. So this is from the entrance in the back door of the Custom House, which I think is what they mean is they're facing the river, that part of the building. The timeline is roughly late 25 to winter 26, and so this 50K comes from the city plus the 120K that they've raised, and there are other projects they will continue to do. This is a historic preservation category, and it qualifies. Mike Doucette, who's the chair, explained that improvements to existing structures are eligible, and so it was 2-1 in committee.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright? Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
No.
Councillor Dennehy?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
All right, next is motion to approve Cushing House Campus Fence Preservation, Museum of Old Newbury, $59,005, and recommended for the same.
Second.
All right, project number 4. Of course, we didn't do them in order in committee, so bear with me for one sec. I see it. All right, so we had Bethany Dorow, who presented this project to us. This fence is falling apart. It is a historic fence. It was installed in about 1890. And they have done the usual patching and so forth, but it simply has reached end of life. Evidently, the fence itself was very well documented in 1936 by the Workers' Project Administration. So they actually have amazing documentation as to what it's supposed to look like, and that's what's going to guide them in their restoration of this fence. And councillors commented on how neat the presentation was and so forth. And they basically need to piece together a number of contractors to get this done well, because I guess it's pretty ornate, and there's some things some can do and some things others can do. And they are funding about $14,000 of work themselves, and again are looking for the $59K. This is an applicant that has recurred a few times over recent years. It was 3-0 in committee.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will do a roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Counselor Harmon?
Yes.
Counselor Khan?
Yes.
Counselor Lane? Counselor McCauley?
Yes.
Counselor Preston?
Yes.
Counselor Shand?
Yes.
Counselor Wright?
Yes.
Counselor Zede?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Cameron?
Yes.
Okay, next is motion to approve Open Space Reserve Fund, project number 5, $70,000 ask, $50,000 recommend.
Second.
And collectively also to receive and file project number 6, Urban Garden Park Project, Resiliency Committee 1025, same amount, recommend.
Second.
Just try and save a roll call here, but number 5 is a fairly somewhat standard thing that we do each time there's a CPC. For those who maybe aren't familiar, the Open Space Reserve Fund is exactly that. It's a reserve fund. It lays in wait, and then when an opportunity arises, sometimes it's just for recreational purposes, we might acquire land. Sometimes it's been for protection of public water supply. There have been a few ones we've done over the years. So we are putting $50,000 into that fund. There is nothing immediately identified on the horizon. Number 6 was the Urban Garden Park Project. Certainly happy to tell you what it was. Project number 6. It was a new garden that was proposed to be done at the senior center. The senior center, when you come into the area, take a left or right off of High Street, and you're driving down. It's on your left side if you're heading towards. This is an area that had recently been sort of revitalized through some gifts and donations that were run through the city council. We received a letter that we received and filed about this. So what we discovered in committee is that unfortunately there was, I guess, a little bit of a misconnection on that this area sort of already had a thing going on, and the idea and hope was that the applicants would go back and find another location, and we at least left committee feeling that there were some other suitable locations, potentially like along the rail trail or somewhere else at the senior center. But I was informed by the administration, by the staff contact in the planning office that this project was withdrawn. Not a lot of other information was provided to me as to why. Maybe they'll reapply in the future. So, it's withdrawn. And so those are those 2 projects.
Okay, so the motion is to approve item number 5, Open Space Reserve, and at the same time collectively to receive and file the Urban Garden.
Yes.
Counselor Preston?
Just
Counselor
super quick,
Khan?
what's the difference between the request and the recommended amounts for the open space?
So open space does not, the only one that has a mandated amount is affordable housing. That category mandates 10%. Everything else is to their discretion, and they basically were just making the budget numbers fit, to be honest. And since there's no specific open space like thing in front of us, or opportunity, I should say, they trimmed it back.
Counselor Khan?
Yeah, thank you. In terms of Project 6, the Urban Garden Park Project, as folks saw, and I know the chair mentioned this, but I kind of want to put a fine point on it, is that there are plans, there are efforts for that space that was identified. So I think as members that sat there, it was a little mind-boggling on how we got to a little misunderstanding on a spot that has a plan and a design, and then we put something on top of that. So I just want to flag that for everyone here. Think of ways that we could improve communications on things like that. So I don't know if the design that's currently there needs to come through this committee, or how the parks or other, it's actually city property, so it wouldn't even go through parks. So just want to flag that was a real kind of eye-opener for those of us in the meeting, and we really got to make sure that that does not happen again, because I'm thinking of the time wasted. It went through a CPC hearing, this project got approved with the $100,000, and then we find out in committee, wait a second, something else is going on there. So just means communication needs to be better. I don't have a solution right now, but I just want to make every single person here aware that it was something that really caught us off guard. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call on approving Open Space Reserve Fund and receiving and filing Urban Garden Park Project.
Counselor Graunis?
Yes.
Counselor Harmon? Yes. Counselor Khan?
Yes.
Counselor Lane?
Yes.
Counselor McCauley?
Yes.
Counselor Preston?
Yes.
Counselor Shand?
Yes.
Counselor Wright?
Yes.
Counselor Zede?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Cameron?
Yes.
Motion to approve project number 7, natural playground and athletic space at River Valley Charter School, 446, 563 ask, 150 recommend.
Second.
So this was probably our longest conversation of all of the projects. I think the first thing is really that this is part of a broad effort they're trying to make at the River Valley Charter School. They're really trying to, I would sort of characterize it as redo all of the outside part of it. There's the playground that abuts Low Street that you probably drive by many times. Then there's some space in the back of the facility. And so they've got a big sort of plan, I guess you might say, and it adds up to about $1.8 million. So that's what their sort of broad vision is. And then they came in asking for $446K, and then, as you can see, the CPC, not the committee, trimmed that down to $150,000. And they've been on a bit of a journey, I would say, is the way I would characterize it based on what we heard, is they've been working with Conservation Commission to try and get approvals because they have wetland considerations there where they are, and then they've been trying to also just figure out how to raise more funding and do all the things they need to do. So at the end of the day, this $150,000 is really focused on the playground area, and the athletic fields, which still remain in the title, are not really part of this because that's going to be a later phase, and depending on whether they can raise more money. They have raised $500,000 to date, by the way. So they did shrink the scope, and a part of that was, again, to address some concerns. The second major concern was public access. The school does sit on private property, so without getting too far into the weeds, the school doesn't own the property. There's an owner of the property, and but the owner is more than willing to create basically an easement and all the things that need to go with that so that the public can always access this, because that was one of the initial concerns of the public that we heard from and from the committee, that we'd be investing in basically private property and then nobody could use it to recreate, and this is a recreation category. So they're still working with conservation. That evidently is an ongoing conversation. We did talk about doing the easement and so forth so that we can make sure the public can access. The applicant was Karen Hughes, who's the director, was very open to answering and discussing. And we'll work towards making sure all of these pieces are in place. We had a brief conversation about ADA, and they are working on keeping things accessible as well. But again, I think we kind of bled off into some of their bigger projects. Again, they have sidewalks and parking and all sorts of other things as well. So in the end, we did, in the committee, recommend approval for the scope of this funding, which is playground, but contingent upon recording of an easement for the public access. And so that's coming to you that way here as well on the floor. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed here. It was a lengthy conversation. I think that's good enough, and the director wanted to make sure everybody understood that the River Valley Charter School is a public school. So it's a charter school, but it is a public school. So hopefully I did my best on that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, roll call on the River Valley Charter School playground and athletic space.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shan?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Okay, motion collectively to approve Project 8, which is the Atwood basketball court restoration, $26,880, same amount requested and offered. Project number 9, Knock-Mullen playground repaving, Newburyport Public Schools, $206,150, same amount requested and recommended, as well as Atkinson Common Lily Pond coping, $79,200, Parks Commission, same amount requested and.
Second.
Okay, so the Atwood basketball court, oh, sorry.
Because of the Atwood basketball court, I'm good with the old one.
Okay, all right.
Okay, you got it.
So on the Atwood basketball court renovation, this is essential restoration. This is very similar to what we did at Cashman recently, as well as I believe at the Knock, where basically they don't replace the whole court, they just resurface it and paint it to make it a little bit more usable. The committee was in support. The Knock-Mullen playground repaving, this is an interesting one. First of all, it's a very large number, I think, we initially were saying $206,000 of paving. So if you're looking at the school from Low Street, the Knockmullen, and you see on the left side, there's a large area where the kids congregate and play, say during recess and what have you. There's a basketball hoop. That entire area of tarmac, I think you could park a plane on there, it's pretty big, is the area that is pretty beat up and tired, and that is asked to be replaced here at the hefty price of $206,150. The committee was in favor 3-0. And the Atkinson Common Lily Pond coping basically is the Atkinson Common in general has been receiving attention, I would say, on both ends, down on the sort of the Merrimack end for the Pioneer League, but this is up on the other side. This coping is to better define the pond and to keep the water inside of it. Right now, it's kind of in a state of disrepair, and this will be bluestone, which should offer a nice life and certainly a nice aesthetic. This is considered a recreation category project. The committee was 3-0 on that as well.
So the motion on the floor is for collectively 3 items: Atwood Basketball Court, Knockmullen Playground, and Atkinson Common Lily Pond coping. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston's recused. Councillor Shan?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Motion to waive the rules and approve project number 11, Hill Street Gardens, Phase 2 of 3.
Second.
The reason I waived the rules is I didn't specifically put project 11 into the agenda because we were not able to get the applicant to appear before Budget and Finance. They were scheduled to, but I think we had just a hiccup. So why am I asking? Well, was trying to coordinate for next week and really trying to get moving in anticipation of the budget. And but the applicant also cannot appear next May 1st, but offered to be next week, next Thursday, but also offered to be available for any questions. So I did review the application. You may have as well. It's a $9,000 ask, so it is the smallest of all the ones. And essentially, it's tree work to being done under the watchful eye of the tree warden, and they're removing some junky like Norway maples, and then they're going to plant some new trees. And I thought the council could contemplate, giving this grace and not having them come in to explain that they're taking down trees and planting new trees and offering them that. So I offer that for your consideration.
Thank you. Further discussion? So motion to waive the rules and approve.
Just for safety, yeah.
Okay. Roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shan?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to recuse myself on this one. Councillor Shan, maybe you can jump up so Councillor Zede can keep cranking through the committee report. Thank you.
So, motion to approve Project 12, Priority Housing Needs, $200,000. Requested, $150, recommended by CPC. So, as mentioned, we do have a minimum, and that is 10%, and the $150 does meet that 10%. The $200,000 is a request from the Affordable Housing Trust. They cited a variety of different potential utilizations for it. One was to replenish a little bit for funds expended as from the Brown School project. As we know, the 450 exited that fund. And then there are some other general housing initiatives as well. Down payment assistance, rental assistance, first-time home buyers, those types of things. They have about $1.1 million available as of our committee meeting, and so this will add to it. Again, we were asked why 200 down. We asked why 200 down to 150, and it was again another budgetary consideration at the time, and the 150 still meets the 10% threshold.
Thank you. Councillor Khan,
Yeah, motion to amend to 200,000.
Second.
discussion. Councillor Khan?
Yeah, thank you. One of the things, I think you guys, we just heard about Project 6, the one that had 100,000 proposed to it that we found out there was something else happening at that location. So hearing that they withdrew the project, because one of the things I was waiting to hear is we provide an opportunity, since they went through the sketches and what a design would look like, would there be somewhere else in the city that they could continue with the project? And given that it didn't seem like there was a location, I would suggest that to make the numbers work of what the allocation we want total, it doesn't seem like it's not a bad thing that we put the $50,000 back at the Affordable Housing Trust.
Councillor Preston and Councillor Zede.
So I sit on the Resiliency Committee, as some of you may know, and we absolutely anticipated having a discussion on at our last Resiliency Committee meeting, which would have been last Wednesday, I think it was. We unfortunately got caught up. Evidently, there was a nationwide Zoom outage, and it did not actually happen. It is scheduled for next week instead. But I do know that there is an anticipation of moving forward at the senior center. So it's not that the project is dead. It's a little complicated by the fact that it was really being led by Julia Gottfredson, who of course has left the city, and so I believe now it is being picked up by Molly Ettenborough, but there is absolutely an intention to still move forward with the project.
That's nice. I could withdraw.
And I'll just add the point that I do know, because we had the luxury of having Jane Healy, both in the Resiliency Committee and in the CPC, and so I did have a conversation with Jane, and the idea is that we would bring it in out of cycle with CPC, and then it would come back to council.
Great, thank you. So I'll withdraw my motion.
All right.
And second.
All right, further discussion. All right, roll call vote on item 12, priority housing needs at $150,000.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron's recused. Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Motion to approve the following FY26 CPA obligations. NHS Stadium bond payment, $123,255. Cherry Hill Soccer Field bond payment, $11,115. Fuller Field track renovation Phase 2 bond payment, $50,750. Market Landing bond payment, $256,500. And administrative cost, $14,000, for a total of $455,620.
Second.
These are basically already pre-created obligations by prior actions of the city council and the mayor and so forth. So you have the bond payments, and the administrative costs in part are utilized to support a portion of a salary of a staff member in the planning office. So this is the second year where we're really seeing the Market Landing Park, though that's kind of the newer one.
Further discussion on the CPA obligations. So motion was made and seconded. All those in favor, roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Okay, the last thing we have is a transfer. Motion to approve transfer 218, general fund free cash 16,250 to municipal insurance, same amount.
Second.
So this is not health insurance in this case, this is property insurance. And it basically links directly to the Brown School. The Brown School being vacant right now, therefore demands a higher insurance rate, as vacant buildings do. And so they had to purchase additional insurance. They have been, it's not like it became vacant last week, of course, so they have been purchasing this, but they just don't have the runway anymore budgetary-wise in order to be able to absorb it, so they're asking for this free cash transfer. It was 3-0 in committee.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon? Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
That's it for budget. We will be meeting next Thursday we're not meeting this Thursday. We are meeting next Thursday. We've shifted our standing meeting by a week because of April vacation. We will be attempting very much so to clear the remaining items that we have and that we got, and then it's all into the budget. And that's it. Thank you.
Councilor Z, good work by the committee on the CPC items. Thank you for that. That would lead us to community services.
Motion to receive and file Communication 618.
Second. Councilor Preston?
Thank you. So Communication 618 is survey results from a 2025 survey from the Council on Aging. The committee was joined by Elaine Paglia, who is the chair of the, I keep wanting to say Commission on Disabilities. Sorry, the Council on Aging. That is really hard for me for some reason. Sarah Landry, who is the director of the Council on Aging, and Jane Snow, who's a volunteer that did the data analysis on the survey. The survey came out of the Senior Advocacy Committee of the Council on Aging Board in coordination with the mayor. And the Council on Aging paid for the mailing, which was sent to every registered voter over the age of 50, and they had a 19% return on the mailing with 1,254 respondents, which continues to grow as residents are coming back from a season away in warmer weather. The primary reason for the survey was because there has not been a survey on the demographics of the seniors in the city for a very long time, if ever, and they wanted that demographic data to find out what seniors need in the city. 71% of the seniors have lived here for greater than 15 years, and 86% feel that it is very important for them to stay. Their two biggest concerns regarding their ability to stay in Newburyport are property taxes and financial concerns. Many of the seniors are not aware of the services. Out of the survey, one of the things that we realized is that many of the seniors are not aware of the services that are available at our senior community center. And Director Landry feels that the Council on Aging needs to do a better job of reaching seniors in their homes to make them more aware of the offerings and programs. She is currently working with the outreach coordinator to find more ways to connect with seniors and have already revamped their monthly newsletter and weekly email updates to make them easier to read. They are also working with various city departments such as fire, police, and health to find residents that may have issues in their homes, and are developing flyers for those departments to hand out to residents that they may encounter in their homes and may have needs that could be addressed by the Council on Aging. Lastly, they are working with the newspaper to have more articles to raise awareness. There was a discussion of the various tax work-off programs with a focus on revisiting what we offer and potentially expanding those programs. Director Landry says that there are limitations to the work-off programs, and they need better mechanisms for our seniors. There are also difficulties for her team due to resource constraints and their ability to supervise and support the volunteers that may be working in these work-off programs. We suggested that the Council on Aging connect with the city assessor, do more research, and submit a communication in the future so that we can have another discussion that's more focused on that, and specifically at a future Community Services Committee meeting. Lastly, there are 1,200 individuals that are registered in the Council on Aging system and have checked into the Senior Center in the last year. The center is very busy from 9 to 12 each day, but the afternoons are much quieter, so they are trying to create more afternoon programming. And the center is not open at nights and weekends because there isn't enough staff to cover those hours. The committee voted 3-0, receive and file Communication 618.
Okay, thank you. That very thorough overview. Discussion? Okay, hearing none. Motion was made to receive and file. All those in favor, roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
The committee will meet next Monday, the 28th at 5:30. We will be discussing the reappointment of Kevin Hunt, as well as the survey that came in from Elaine Paglia, if anyone would like to join.
Thank you. That will lead us to general government. Motion to approve Order 648.
Second.
Thank you. So this was approved 2-0 in our committee meeting on April 14th. This is an order sponsored by Councillor Zede that would make changes in changes that will help, I think, clarify remote comment and also disclosure, and something we've experienced at least a couple of times, would call on those for remote public comment to have raised their hands at the time of regular public comment, so as we don't have in-person public commenters making comment and then other people kind of getting on to rebut. So this would be up to the chair to request people to raise their hand prior to the clipboard being taken down from council chambers. And the other segment here is just to have speakers, and this would apply remotely as well, just to disclose any organization or group that they're a part of that would be affected by the agenda item that they're discussing. And again, we did approve that 2-0, so this would be a change for the council rules. Councillor Khan and Councillor Harmon.
I think,
No, go ahead.
Counselor. Oh, thank you. I wasn't at the general government meeting that day. I did want to see if the first, I'll read it, the first amendment, if the chair is accepting remote public comment. I'm not sure why it's if, but I'd rather it say something like for remote public comment instead of if the chair is accepting. So I'm not sure what the reason is for that, but my understanding is this process would be for remote public comment, not to make it up to the chair to decide if comment is going to be taken remote or not.
Okay, so is that, that's
So I
a
would make
motion
that-
to amend?
Yeah, motion to amend or a friendly amendment, I don't know, but a motion to amend for remote public comment and take out if the chair is accepting.
Okay. Councillor Zede?
Yeah, it is if on purpose, but, anything's debatable, I suppose. It does go in concert with the Rule 27A, which is the update to the remote broadcast. But just to give you the intent is that we're trying to find the right balance between, what we backed into very quickly during COVID with remote meetings and what has found out to be practicable, and trying to get out of this gray area where I think we've had a little bit of good fortune with not too many Zoom, breakdowns, but it can happen at any time, and I think most chairs have a little bit of nervousness about what if it stops working, or if I can't accept public comment via the Zoom, then does that mean that the meeting's over? So we need to get clarity on that. So yes, I mean, the way that this rule is written and the way that Rule 27A is drafted are both that it is the chair's discretion. So Zoom, for example, could be used solely for observational purposes to let people access and to record the meeting, but not to participate. Could we mandate meetings to have public comment? We could, but I would just caution, and my concern around this would be a couple of things. One is, again, if there are technical issues, I think the meeting should be able to continue. That's my view. Number two is, having had this happen a little bit to me, but I think it happens to others too, you're not always at home. So this is home and you have the owls, but if you get dragged out to the senior center for a meeting, it sometimes can work out. Sometimes the owl doesn't work that well. Sometimes you can't get one. Had to have meetings in the police station recently just because you're shuffling around with meetings. So I don't know if we want to set that standard if we can't meet it. And so, we need this clarity for rules. We don't want anybody questioning something that was done because a rule wasn't followed to a T. So I won't support the amendment, even though I don't have any disagreement really with the sort of underlying theory that more public comment is good. Just trying to be very pragmatic, especially as a chair myself.
Councillor Khan and then Councillor Harmon?
Maybe. I have a different topic.
Okay, I just want to just kind of say the section is about public comment, and I think by saying if the chair is accepting, we've kind of embedded another rule. So all I'm really just saying is for public comment, here's what you do. But the whole statement, if the chair is accepting, to me is adding another rule within the section of public comment. That's all. And referencing Rule 27A, I don't think it's really doing any harm, but just saying for public comment, this is what you do.
Okay, Councillor Harmon?
I will throw it out just because the at-large councilor referenced it. I believe the reference is meant to be to, in Order 651, is meant to be to what is listed as Rule 26B. Is that wrong?
I think it's a Scrivener's error. I think
Okay,
it's
so just as a
27B,
potential
but yes.
correction, that if we do move forward with some amendment, we might want to incorporate, but I generally, while I'm up, it does feel like a pretty significant change that wasn't part of the conversation in committee. I respect the sponsor's effort to codify our learnings around unreliability of technology sometimes. So when technology is not available for remote participation, we should have a way to continue with our work. However, when we are allowing for remote participation, you know, and apologies for missing this in the earlier two meetings that I was at, it puts a disadvantage. I mean, it's an equity thing. If you aren't able to attend in person for any number of reasons, which we've discussed, and we've seen, I think, greater engagement, I think we should start from a position that if we're having public comment and the Zoom is working, then people on the Zoom should be able to participate in that. And I also support the changes, which is what I've been focused on, around making it more equitable, which is similar to the clipboard process. You know, you have to sign up in advance. You can't just jump in based on what you've heard. So I fully support that, but it concerns me if we're essentially, it's at the discretion of any chair whether or not people will be able to comment remotely.
Okay, so the motion is to change that language to for Councillor Z.
Yeah, I guess all I want to challenge is whether this is a change or not. That's to me, it's not a change because chairs always set an agenda, and they set an agenda, so they can put things on the agenda as they see fit. I have had, I'll give you an example. I've had issues where I was chair, and we've had 4 meetings, and it was dominated by public comment in the first 3, and we've shut off public comment in the 4th because the council at some point does need to have a chance to deliberate. It's sticky, I understand. I mean, you can keep the public comment open indefinitely, but also sometimes other residents are like, are we ever going to hear from the city council on this issue, or do I just come to hear? So I didn't intend for it to be some like sneaky thing that I was inserting into there. That's number one. The second one is I wrote these because I want to confront these issues. I think we need to stop. So my point in saying that is, are we saying that there's no such thing as an in-person meeting anymore for the city council? Like, that can't exist anymore? Because there's a little difference of nuance. The at-large councillor made it imply that really there is no more in-person meeting only in person. The Ward 4 councillor said if the Zoom is working, if the Zoom is available, which is a little bit more tempered. So I'm just throwing out that it's a spectrum. You know, I think we should still have the right to have in-person meetings where you have to come and speak if you want to speak, and also to address that as a practical rule, as a practical matter. I'm trying to do public comment. I think most chairs are, but I don't know if we want to foreclose on this forever, and that's part of why this is out there. So.
Councillor Khan.
Yeah, sorry, I don't think I said that there's no more in-person meetings only. I think what I was just trying to say is just clean up the language to say, you know, for remote participation, this is how the public, it's a very, it's passive tone, which is something I always write in. But, so I think it's not saying either yes or no, but for, like if that's happening. So for remote participation, here's what you need to do. All I'm kind of taking out, and I'm not implying anyone's being sneaky, all I'm saying is it's giving a power to the chair, and I'm looking at 26B, the other one we're going to talk about, and might as well talk about both of them now. 26B, which is in the other order 651, and so we'll correct that Scrivener's error. It says at the discretion, so this is a new rule, where we're saying at the discretion of the chair, public comment by those attending from virtual venues may be accepted. That I have a problem with, because it is giving discretion. If someone is, we'd really have to do a lot of education to let folks know if you're participating remotely, you may not, the chair may not accept public comment. And I think that creates a lot of problems with the whole concept of our committee meetings being for the public as well. It's where we get a lot of work done. So I would be fine with 26B also just saying public comment by those attending, take out at the discretion of the chair. I just want to see if we could remove those aspects that to me I find problematic.
Okay, further discussion, Councilor Preston, Councilor Zede?
Just as an effort to move forward with this, perhaps an amendment that says in the event of public comment, remote public comment, then it's taking away, the chair owning and controlling it, but still giving room for the fact that should the Zoom fall apart or whatever it is. And while I have the floor, I think we have sort of some Scribner's errors. So in ordinance, what's the other one? What's 27?
651.
651 under 27. I think it's actually supposed to be 27A, 27B.
Correct. 7C.
It is.
And then 27C. So we'd need to make that change in the first one.
Okay, Councilor Zede?
So I don't have I guess we can argue about semantics and words, but who would decide? I mean, I need to be able to chair a meeting and have clarity on what I'm obligated to offer, what I'm not obligated to offer, what I'm supposed to do if it breaks down. This doesn't, so I understand wanting to take out the words as the chair because it makes it uncomfortable, but whose discretion then is it?
Yeah, I think it's.
I'm asking,
Speaking as the chair of the committee, I think it's a good question. I mean, we have to have public comment for regular meetings of the city council. That's in Article 2.
Rules, but committees are not.
But committees are not regular meetings of the city council. So I think it's always been a bit ambiguous. I think when we had some Zoom bombings, at least in regular meetings, we didn't take public comment remotely for a couple of meetings, because we didn't kind of know who was who, and that sort of died down. But yeah, I'm not, I think we either should, make it at the discretion of the chair. And again, I think if you are at the senior center, it's probably not going to work very well, and there may be times anywhere for a committee meeting where it's not going to work, and you not have a meeting because people can't make remote comment, but they can make in-person comment. So I'm not sure.
So maybe what we need is something like this. So in this rule specifically, if it's going to incorporate the corrected 27B, then I'm fine if it just says, for public comment, and then it says, see Rule 20, what should be 27B. In the other one, and I'm sorry we've kind of gotten into both of them at the same time, would it make councilors comfortable if we said something like, chairs will always expend every effort to accept public comment virtually, but something along those lines, that effort will be extended, and that it should be in a circumstance where the public comment isn't accepted that's meaningful. I'm not going to define what those extenuating circumstances are. It could be technology, but again, I just want to say that sometimes Waterfront West comes to mind, other things come to mind where if you've run to ground 3 meetings in a row of public comment dominated time, it's okay to give the council an opportunity or the committee an opportunity to deliberate. So maybe that would make it more comfortable, so it's really clear that should be more of the exception than the rule.
Councilor Harmon?
Thank you. I will just point out that the Planning Board and Planning and Development meet at the Senior Center with remote participation pretty successfully. But I agree with the sponsor's proposed adjustment. My concern is less about the chair being able to control the meeting and the volume of public comment, and more about segmenting which public comment they will and won't take. So I think a good faith effort, language as the sponsor described would satisfy, I think, my concern with the way that I felt like this was sort of shifting the rule a little bit to disadvantage remote participants. So that makes sense to me. I will defer to the amendment motioner.
Yeah, thank you. It doesn't make me happy, but I actually liked what other at-large councilor said in the event of public comment. Again, we have been here, we've seen, you never know, there's contentious topics, it could be on the whim of a chair. I'm just pointing out that we have a body of people, but you don't know who's going to be coming up ahead. So again, I'm just asking to be clean in the event is, to me, was a really good solution to this. I worry about giving power where we really don't need to give power. And that's, I'll leave it at that. If it gets meant to still keep that power of the chair, whether or not to take public comment remotely, I won't support this. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I will say, and then Councillor Lane. So if the amendment was changed to in the event of public comment.
In the event of remote.
In the event of remote.
Remote public comment.
See Rule 27B. That's a scrivener's.
And then it reads, individuals, as it does now, individuals who are attending remotely who wish to speak must raise their hand. Again, I think the intent of the change in the rule is really more around the raising of the hand. But point taken on the, not trying to limit remote public comment. Councillor Lane?
Mine just a point, how does it relate to open meeting law with having a meeting and not allowing public comment? I just need the information.
I believe, I think I've read this in a few places, but for our regular city council meeting, we need to have public comment because it's in our code of ordinances. I believe at the discretion of a chair for other meetings, you don't have to take public comment. But I think it's been our practice and sort of implied in our rules that one would.
Yeah, it's not required by open meeting law. It's custom, decorum, and rules.
Okay, so the amendment has been made and somewhat modified, and that's good for the maker of the motion and the seconder?
Yes.
Okay, so it would read, and I'm sure the clerk is getting this, and I'm scribbling as well. So in that paragraph number 1 under Rule 18, in the third line, that underlined sentence would now read, in the event of remote public comment.
In the event of remote
See
public
Rule
comment.
27B. So any further discussion on the amendment? All those in favor, roll call on the amendment.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shan?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes. Okay. So the motion on the floor is to approve as amended. Further discussion, comments?
Yeah, just real quick.
Councillor Lane?
At some point, there was, we were doing a home rule petition to get away from this roll call with every single, how are we doing with that? I just was hoping to get an update while we're on topic.
It's coming up. So it's been transmitted to the rep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that it's been transmitted to the representative and the senator, so it is in the general court. So
Yeah.
the last home rule we did was the dissolution of the NRA, and that took 2 years, so hang tight. Can't all be as awesome as the Newburyport City Council. Crushing tasks here.
So true.
So
All right.
true.
No further discussion, so on the motion to approve, roll call?
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shan?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes. No. Did I jump the gun? Sorry, I was looking forward to the next order. Okay, motion to approve Order 650 on the Rule 17A, the consent
Second.
agenda. Thank you. This was also approved in committee 2-0 on the 14th. This is concerning how we set up the consent agenda, clarifying about the continuance idea, adding that in there. And then under Section B, matters that could be subject to the consent agenda. Continuance would be things such as non-emergency orders of gift acceptances and grant acceptances, with a value of $10,000 or less. We did amend that. I'm not sure if it's, hopefully it's in the packet, just to combine A and B. And again, that was approved 2-0. So it just helps with the consent agenda. Councillor Khan.
Thank you, Council President. Yeah, again, I wasn't at the meeting, so I'm sorry to raise my questions now. Did we define what we mean by non-emergency orders? Are these items that the administration is asking for us to expedite, or what does that mean?
I would think non-emergency orders would be things that aren't going to be expended like super quickly, and if they were going to be, then we would entertain emergency preamble or waiving of the rules. So that's what I read it to be. So.
Yeah,
want to respond?
The intent was the word emergency is like charter driven, so you wouldn't want an emergency preamble sneaking into the consent agenda, or somehow getting wrapped up in a continuance. So I just want to remind everybody, this is just subject to the same consent agenda rules, so any one person can object, and it's not, the continuance is off.
Sorry, can you define non-emergency again? I didn't hear that well.
Well, I'm using the term emergency like emergency in the charter. Meaning an emergency, needing an emergency preamble to pass that night. This is just for continuances. So if something needs an emergency preamble, this cannot be part of that at all. It needs to have an emergency attached to it and have its own due time. So you can't mix and match, if you will. I don't know.
Thank you. Is that consistent terminology? So I guess we're introducing a rule, we're introducing something that I think we have to have defensible as we all kind of wonder. So is it clear to everyone what a non-emergency means? Because first of all, I'll be honest, I know we just started doing this where we are not having committee meetings on everything, every gift, and to save time or to expedite it. We know when we take it up at the next meeting, we don't ask questions and we never see the people giving the gifts. So I'm in general not a fan that we've kind of moved to, in some ways relieve our burden, but I also think it's been a little bit of a rushed approach and also not getting time to understand. And I think initially we were trying to focus on things, we've seen this money come before, this is a group that gives a lot, which is, where I can understand that. My worry is the way it's written, I find non-emergency to be very confusing, and I wonder if the rule around this could be maybe fleshed out more, or does it even have to be a rule? Why not keep doing what we have been doing? So those are just my concerns I just wanted to raise on this, and I haven't been able to share how I feel with what we're doing with tabling to the next meeting.
Yeah, I would just say, emergency measure, it is in our code of ordinances under a legislative branch, and I think an emergency, if something was urgent, I don't think it would be put in the consent agenda. I think it would be in the regular agenda and for action to move it along more quickly. So, Councilor McCauley.
Yeah, so I understand the intent. I also understand the at-large council is concerned for transparency and getting some of these items to docket. I think we talked about it in the committee that was there. I'm not a member of the committee, but I did sit in on it. And one of the things that I think is very helpful to all of us is that we can pull that information out and make it go to committee on its own if we have questions. I think a great example of that was tonight's consent agenda, where there are a number of things that came out because the chairs were comfortable with their decision-making tree going forward as to who they wanted to interview and who they didn't. We didn't have a lot of first-timers, let's say in appointments that got pulled out. We did get a number of reappointments and folks that were known. In terms of money and things like that, we already had 3 or 4 of them that have already been tabled to our next meeting going forward, and I would see those types of things continuing on going forward, kind of continuing the experiment that we're talking about. But at any time, I think we all should be aware that we could pull any of those items out and force them to go to committee. It's not a penalty. It's really the transparency issue that we need to address going forward to make sure that if there's a question of something, that we want to make sure that the public has a chance to weigh in. So I'm comfortable with the language as it stands right now, but I'll yield to the whim of the council.
Councilor Zede?
Yeah, I just, first First, I just want to continue to express my concern about the time. I just think it's such a huge challenge, and I think I'm trying to do things that I think are thoughtful, and I just want to say that I started by doing this on the floor and motioning things, and I showed it that way. And then the clerk started to put some continuances into the packet, but those decisions were being made either by me motioning it on the floor, of course with the assent and consent of the council, and then it was in part being done when, I don't know, other chairs probably have this too, but when things are going to come in, I often see them before, like the Monday before they're submitted or Tuesday in the morning, and I would just email the clerk and say, I think these 3 or 4 are continuable. And now I'm giving you a hard red line rule that says, here's a dollar amount figure. I think it's more transparent than the decision being made by the chair of budget or the chair of any committee. And at the end of the day, if you don't like it, it's only one, and you don't even need a second or a vote. I bristle a little bit at the idea that it's not transparent or fair. It's black and white. You even have a dollar threshold to be super clear. So, and I do think it's helped. Tonight we had a few park benches, for example. The committee's not adding a lot of value to that, and frankly, there's enough stress as it is. So, for the applicant, do they need to come and explain a gift donation? In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. And I think this threshold gives us a place to have a line.
Okay, Councillor Khan?
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I don't think I'm the one that said it wasn't transparent, so I hope you're not bristling for me. I think I just said it seems rushed. I did say that part. Maybe what we could do is, if folks are okay, I'd like to offer amendment of a gift value of $5,000 or less. And that's my amendment, if I get a second.
Get a second over here.
Seconded by Councillor Donovan. All right, so motion on the floor is amending the amounts to $5,000 or less. Discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call on the amendment.
Councillor Granis?
No.
Councillor Harmon?
No.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
No.
Councillor McCauley?
No.
Councillor Preston?
No.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
No.
Councillor Zede?
No.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron? Motion fails.
Okay, so the underlying motion's on the floor. Any further discussion or amendments? Okay, roll call on order 650.
Councillor Granis? Yes. Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
No.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Well, that would lead us to a motion to approve Order 651.
Second.
Thank you. So this was also approved 2-0 in our General Government Committee meeting. This is around remote broadcast, and it is a change, and we noted the Scrivener's error there.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
27, it's kind of a big, long rule, the way it exists. So 27 is doing a couple of things and clarifying definitions, and it also defines the primary meeting venue. So if there's a glitch in remote, I believe the meeting would, that's primary meeting venue. That is the place where the meeting is happening. If there is a remote glitch, it's my understanding the meeting would then be able to continue. There's also mention of the recording length of time, where I believe we said less than 2 years. I'm not sure if that...
Yeah, it's the actual 27A or
27A, yeah.
the last
27,
sentence.
yeah.
Period not shorter than 2 years, I believe, was the committee amendment.
and it talks about manner of voting, and if people are not, if council members are not attending, about notifying the chair that they won't be attending in person. So, Councillor Zede?
So, putting aside the Scrivener's error, take a stab at an amendment to what should be 27B, and then the other ones should be 27C and so forth. So, what I propose is, consistent with what we started with in 27A, it says, "The City Council shall make reasonable efforts to accept comment from virtual venues anytime in-person public comment is accepted, period." And then public comment by those attending from virtual venues will be accepted consistent with the same rules and regulations too. So the idea here is if you want parity between the two, then I do think it's fair to, I know people don't like it, but this is what the part of the role of the chair is. If you're going to turn off public comment for a meeting because whatever reason you can't, or can't accept it because of a tech issue, or you won't accept it because you need to allow for deliberation time, this gives you parity, I think, between the two, which I think, or equity if you prefer the term that the Ward 4 councillor was getting at. So again, the City Council shall make reasonable efforts to accept comments from virtual venues anytime in-person public comment is accepted, period. Public comment by those attending from virtual venues will be accepted, because it's already, sort of conditional in the first one, will be accepted consistent with the same rules and regulations to those who speak in person.
Okay, so those are the amendments for those two?
Yeah, correct the Scrivener's error, but that's not really an amendment. But yeah, that's to what will become 27B correctly, 27B.
Okay, I also think, and I'll rely on Councillor Granis, I think we did say, and I don't think it got, and I'll take responsibility for it, I think under what's listed as 27A in your packet, I think we ended up saying not shorter than 2 years from the date of the meeting.
Correct, yeah, I remember that.
Should have made that change. So I'm making that on the floor.
That's right.
Okay, so combine those amendments?
Yeah, I'll include the 2 years. The two strike 1 year and not shorter than 2 years.
Okay, so that's a combination of amendments. Everyone clear on those? Discussion on those amendments? Councillor Harmon?
I support those amendments.
Any further discussion? Okay, so roll call on those amendments.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shan?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Dennehy?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Do
Okay.
you need that in writing, or you got it? No.
In writing would be nice, thank you.
Okay, so on the underlying motion to approve, Councillor Khan?
Can we make more amendments, or?
Sure.
So, thank you, Council President. The other thing was on the camera. Did you guys talk about that?
We did.
And where, I'm trying to see what that is here.
During roll call, I believe, is where we landed.
During roll call? So one of the things we talked about when we first talked about that, I don't think the sponsor was there, was the aspect that if one is going to participate remotely to use their camera, to have their camera on, because I'm trying to read to see where that is. Did we only say roll call, or did we add it as an amendment? And my apologies, I'm trying to quickly look.
It is.
Shall activate that for at least the roll call portion. So it was not changed? Okay.
We did talk
Did
quite a
talk
bit
about it,
about it, but I think we ended up leaving it as
Okay, so
is.
let me explain a little bit on why I think that's important. One of the things that remote participation, as one knows, one could be on their phone, one could not be paying attention. I think we owe it because another place too, it says the chair has to say who's participating remotely and their reason for why. And I think that was one of the things we were talking about, is that what we do is public facing, and being in this chamber is, I know many of us do our best to be here, but it's nice that we have the remote option if we're traveling or we're not able to be in town to do this, or if we're sick or whatever it might be. But I do think that the public should still be seeing us, especially now that we've cut our meeting times by 7 meetings in the calendar year. This is the time for the public to see us. And I'm very happy to see Councilor Wright right there, so it's great. I mean, I think there's some value to know that the person's not doing other things and that they're engaged in the conversation. And I think the public trust, and I will say public trust in this matter, is important. So I'd like to see us actually change that last on the first page. Councilors attending from any virtual meeting venue shall activate their camera, period. And that's, I'm making that as amendment if I get a second.
Second.
Okay, so amendment to change the bottom part under virtual meeting or webinar, so councilors attending from any virtual meeting venue shall activate their camera, period. Councilor Lane?
So to address that, if I'm sick or in a hospital bed, I don't want people looking at me. That's where I come from with that. So to mandate that, I won't support that amendment, but, I mean, I could see if it's a vacation, I mean, the reasoning why, it's not for convenience, so everything's kind of out the window with that. Anything that you'd have to be remote for, you'd probably not want to be on camera for. And I go back to thinking, when I was sitting there with a vacuum pump on my back and sick, I wouldn't want, last thing I wanted was to be a goldfish and people see me sitting there ill. So I won't support the amendment.
Councilor Khan?
Yeah, I'm just going to respond to that. There are times, though, it makes sense for us not to be here at the meeting or to even participate remotely. I think that's fair. We know that it's not a requirement to make every meeting. I totally understand that. There are ways that is a very a situation being in a hospital bed. I absolutely a lot of sympathy because I know that was a lot going on. I don't hope it's typical for many of us to be in that situation, but I do know there are capabilities for blurred backgrounds or other things that if you are worried of maybe being in a coat closet, depending on where you might be, you could use those functions. But I would maybe, to put it more loosely, will try to the best of their capability to have their cameras on. And that maybe I don't know if I'll say it like that again, but I could put it in so it's not a hard must, but encouraged to, if that's okay. If my
Reasonable effort. Second.
Reasonable, yeah, if I could have my second agree to that.
Okay, so that would read something along the lines of councilors attending from any virtual meeting venue shall activate their camera to their...
Don't make a reasonable effort to activate their camera.
Yeah, shall make reasonable effort to activate their camera.
Okay. Discussion on that? Okay, hearing none, roll call on that amendment.
Can I add one more so we're not doing this?
Sure.
Sorry. Going to actually what the Ward 6 councilor said, I think people participating remotely, you don't have to say the reason, because if someone is on vacation or not around and their house is empty. So I would like to see us actually strike that. So that's under a notification on the second, or actually it's the, second page. It says right now, the chair must announce at the beginning of the meeting the name of the person participating remotely and the reason. The categories listed above under reasons may be used, and those categories are, where are they? Where's the categories? Let me read them.
Illness, personal disability, emergency, military service, geographic distance.
Does any of them say vacation? Well, first of all, I don't think we need to, but that's open for debate.
Geographic
But
distance.
if we want to follow our rules, right now it says you have to list the reason, or the chair has to say the reason.
We did talk about that in committee, and I think there was sort of an implication that the chair would have some discretion. Yeah, you wouldn't say, Councilor Doe is away for 3 weeks. And we did mention, the worldwide travelers that we do have. You wouldn't want somebody to know somebody's out of town for an extended period of time, but I think the reason would be, they're simply not able to be here tonight or something like that, so. Councillor Khan.
Sorry, so like Councillor Wright, you didn't announce the reason, so I think it's unrealistic for us to do that. And I'm one person, but it's not something that I think should be in our rule, unless we're going to follow it.
Right, so your amendment is to strike in the reason?
Yeah. They can say the name of the person, but I don't think reason. That's me, we could debate it.
Yeah, I think that'd be fine.
Second.
Okay, so that's been made and seconded, so that's one. So 2 amendments collectively, I guess we could take them, or if people want to take them separately.
And for the clerk, you've got to also get the categories listed under reasons. If you could delete all of that, since there's no reason now.
Councillor Zeeb?
Yeah, just a little bit of a conversation here. So first of all, these are existing rules. They're not proposed to be amended by this amendment to the rules. My thought would be the entire intent behind, I think, all of this is that we're trying to reset a little bit. I think, virtual came in very quickly. It was really necessary, right? During the pandemic, we could not meet in person. Then the pendulum swung a little bit, and it became like a fairly normal thing. And now I think we're recognizing that, there's probably a good value to being in person as much as is reasonable. So I think that's where we're trying to find this balance here. So I think the reasons should stay, personally, and I think the notification of the chair should stay, because chairs really need to know if you're not going to be there, and obviously if they can make quorum. But I do agree that the public announcement both is not followed and also is probably not super necessary. But it'd just be nice to say, to the chair, I can't be there because I'm traveling, or I can't be there because I'm ill, or I can't be there in person, to be more clear. So I don't know if that could be something that's acceptable, or because I don't know if we want to have virtual for any reason. I guess I don't know. That's what, when you say strike all the reasons, that means any reason. I'm not sure if that's what is wanted.
Let me clarify. Because notification, the reason that it says is the chair must announce at the beginning of the meeting the name of the person participating remotely and the reason, period. The categories listed above under reasons may be used for this announcement. I'm just saying, to be clean, take all of that out. The reasons are staying in another section.
Oh, so strike the chair must all the way till the end of that paragraph.
It's just editorial.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you meant also striking all the reasons themselves.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so Councillor Khan, can you restate again? So under that...
Notification
yes.
section. So the second sentence, which starts, the chair must announce at the beginning of the meeting the name of the person participating remotely, period. Then everything after that should be deleted in that section, that paragraph of notification.
All right, everybody clear on that? Okay, so there are 2 amendments combined. We can take them together. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Just a quick caution.
Yeah.
The last time we looked at the remote participation policy, we were moving to strike it, and COVID happened a month later. So I just wanted to point that out. We don't want to overbake this thing, because if we do have to, for whatever reason, go back to full remote, I just hope we're covered here. We haven't painted ourselves in a corner. But I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Further discussion, roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
No.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shan?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zine?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes. Okay. Any further amendments? Okay, hearing none. Any further discussion on the underlying motion to approve Order 651? Roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Present.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shan?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zine?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes. Thank you. That's it out of general government. Councillor McCauley?
Yeah, I just want to point out it's 9:40. Has the chair heard from the administration?
I have not, and I have not.
Second question then. Will we be setting a meeting, making an announcement for the library investigation tonight?
No, I'm working on the date for that.
Thank you.
That would lead us to licenses and permits.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to make a motion to approve application 246.
Second.
So this is an application for outdoor seating for the most recent reopening of the property, and they're asking for permission to have a open dining in Market Square. The applicant attended our meeting virtually, and our committee voted, after discussion, voted to approve 3-0.
Okay, further discussion, Councilor McCauley?
I just want to add, one of the things we had approved it contingent upon Parks. I attended the Parks Commission meeting, and they had approved it the other night as well, so we're good. We're good.
Okay. Great. Any further discussion? Application 246. Sorry, Councilor Donahue?
Thank you, Chair, President. I'm sorry. Yeah, I am going to not be supporting this application, and I don't know if anyone else recalls, but we were not sure about the benches being plaqued with memorial plaques that were removed, and we did get an email today confirming that at least one of the benches removed did have a memorial plaque. The family's pretty upset that the benches have still not been replaced. I did ask the applicant, as I attended that meeting, how he came to understand that outdoor dining would be available for him out front through an application process. If it was something that he just knew about, or if it was sort of part and parcel to him renting that space through the landlord. And it was indicated that it would have been a deal breaker if the outdoor dining space was not available, which indicates to me that the landlords are marketing these restaurant spaces as having available outdoor dining, simply going through a city process. So, you know, this particular location, I do feel, is above and beyond what is, you know, really the genesis of outdoor dining. And it's just, I don't know how we can get around replacing the benches with that space taken up by tables, and it does really impede on Market Square. So that's why I'm not going to be supporting this one today. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion, Councilor Preston, Councilor Khan.
Yeah, thank you. So firstly, I will note that La Rosa's actually owns the property, so they would be their own landlord in this particular case. I think that's not the case in most of the places, the downtown restaurants, but in this particular case. But as for the park benches, so I actually brought this up in committee, and subsequent to the committee meeting, I had a conversation with Parks Manager Hennessy as well as Special Projects Manager Turner about the benches to garner some further information about this, and then subsequently attended a Parks Commission meeting to talk about this as well. And so what I found out about this is indeed the benches were removed for, at the time, Vera's ability to have the dining out on the Market Square side of the restaurant itself. And the answer to why they were never put back, nobody seems to really have an answer for. The benches still do exist and certainly could be brought back. However, when the benches were taken up, the bolts that hold them to the ground were also taken up, so we would have to replace them no matter what. And so I asked the question, is there a way that we could compromise here, continue to have the outdoor dining on the Market Square side of the restaurant, but also bring the benches back? And to do that, we would have to move the benches. The original discussion that I had with Parks Manager Hennessy was to change the angle because most people, as you come down State Street, take a left into Market Square, you're really heading across Market Square to go across the street into Market Landing Park, and he seemed very amenable to that, but then a subsequent conversation with Special Projects Manager Turner, as someone who is very familiar with landscape design, felt that the changing of the angle would not be the right thing, because that would sort of change the feel and the synergy with the line of the building. But she and Parks Manager Hennessy both felt that there was a solution in simply moving the whole line of benches a bit forward so that it allows for the benches to come back and allows for the restaurant dining to stay in place, and that would still allow for enough space for people to be moving through Market Square. And then lastly, I will just say, so as I said, I did attend a Parks Commission meeting on this. Well, that is not particularly Parks property, because we were talking about benches and Parks Manager Hennessy's work and those sorts of things. I thought it would be good for them to be sort of informed about all of this. They did not have any particular objection to all of that, and but I wanted to make sure that they were aware. So it really sits with Parks Manager Hennessy and Special Projects Manager Turner at this point to come up with a final solution, but there is work ongoing to find a compromise so that both the benches and the dining can exist.
Thank you. Councillor Khan?
Yeah, great. Thank you, Council President, and thank you very much to the at-large councillor for that update, because that was exactly where my mind's thinking. We've been, as you guys saw, we got another email from the same person about, where are those benches, and it also makes me wonder about the dedication. Some of these benches have people paid money to have a dedication plaque on, and I tend to agree with the Ward 2 councillor. There is parking. There's seating that I know when Vera was there, or the previous restaurant, that they used the back, the part that's part of right by In Street, so that it's the back end of this restaurant that could do outdoor. I'm really concerned because people enjoy those benches. You see people all the time trying to sit there, and to have some of them gone, it's a really big gap. So I do think the solutions, it's great to hear them, but are they going to get done? It means unbolting the other benches, which there's a cost to it. Whereas I think it's really, it's in our kind of realm here to decide whether or not we want that Market Square to stay an open square that's for transversing through or sitting through, or to enjoy whatever the different things in the summer that happen. And are we okay with kind of changing that to also have restaurant seating in that one corner? So for me personally, I'd rather have that be a transitory place, or a place for people to sit, get those benches back, not worry about moving that whole line back and forth. I think it was fine the way it was before. So I won't be supporting this the way it is. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Shand?
Thank you, Council President. Has the Parks Department approved the seating for the backside, which is the Parks purview? And how many seats is that? Do we know?
It's the same plan. So they did approve it at the Parks Commission meeting that was held last week. It is the same design as Vera. They actually use the same drawings as Vera, but exactly how many seats it is, I don't remember.
Just a lot.
Councillor Shand?
Was it like 60? 'Cause I mean, I see 60 on here.
I don't remember.
60 seats?
600
I see 600, well, no,
square
sorry,
feet. 600 square feet.
600 square feet. So we had 38 chairs in the front. So do we think there's that many in the back? Is that what they're banking on?
More, but I didn't.
Okay. I tend to agree with the other at-large counselor. I think there's ample seating in back that they had the last time, and I think the front section should be left as is.
Councillor Lane?
I'm going to agree with both the previous speakers, and just because I've been through that front portion, Yankee Homecoming, it was closed down. Vera's wasn't even open. I know that, you can't go by, but that's what we were left with, was a bunch of, roped off, nothing going on with people crowded, and, I don't want to see all the benches move forward. I mean, and the at-large council raised the point, these benches were paid for, and some of them, I'm sure, also have sentimental value of where the location of these benches are. So to just up and move them for people to eat on Market Square and maybe not get used, I'm I'm not okay with it. So, I mean, I agree with the other at-large councillor that they have plenty of room in the back, and the front should be left for Market Square.
Further discussion? Councillor Preston?
I just wanted to be certain that there's not confusion. The idea is for the benches to stay where they are, just move a few feet. So the idea is not to move them somewhere else in Market Square, if that's what you may be thinking. The idea is to keep them where they are, just move them a bit forward.
Okay, Councillor Lane,
Just
then
real quick,
Councillor Zede.
that's a nightmare, and I would never go for that because it's already crowded enough there. There's a reason why those benches are where they are, and moving them forward, all I could think of is like, holiday gatherings. You're squeezing Market Square for the sake of 3 tables seasonally, and I don't see the reward there for the city.
My question is, essentially there's two rows of tables. Was or could or should there be any discussion about going to one row just up against the restaurant, and then you kind of split the baby a little bit? You have probably the bench, I don't know, probably the benches can stay generally where they are, if not right where they are. There'd be a little activation of the front of that restaurant, and I think that could maybe be a compromise that we should consider. I am sympathetic to all the arguments. There is a lot of space in the back. It's not this, if you think about it from a restaurateur or as a patron perspective, sitting in the front and watching the world go by on Market Square is an attractive proposition, I think, for them. But at what cost and what space? So I'm wondering is if that might, and we certainly have that power if we want to say you can have the 1, 2, 3, and then whatever those 2 circles are that look like they're connected by something, and the other one, that row, right up against. And that would be actually more consistent with the other restaurants that have seating on, on the sidewalks. Forget about parklets for a minute. I know this is considered a parklet, but that's because Market Square is weird. But it's the same. It's consistent with what you see in other places. So maybe some folks could consider that.
Okay, Councillor Donahue.
Thank you, President. I appreciate that sentiment and the compromise. My only concern really is just that, they have seating along the side of In Street and in the back with approval from the parks. So essentially, they're asking for seating wrapping around the entire 3/4 of the building, which I just think is just too much. And taking away from Market Square. I think, allowing them all that space on In Street and in the back is more than enough to survive and amply survive a season, bring people, outside to eat. So I don't see where we're hurting a business coming in by, not allowing those front tables, because honestly, it was born out of absolute emergency necessity for the business that was existing at the time to make it through the pandemic. And that time has passed. So it doesn't make sense to give up that kind of real estate for our Market Square when they do have ample outdoor dining. It's not like they're without. So, that's where I'll leave it for now.
Councillor Granis, then Councillor McCauley.
Thank you. I'm just baffled. I feel like the last council had approved this seating plan for Vera, and I'm not quite certain what's changing for this new restaurant, why the council doesn't feel that this current seating plan is good for this restaurant, but it was good for the last restaurant who was in this space.
Thank you. Councillor Shand and then McCauley.
Sure. So just to answer that question, I think there's been a lot of concern about the benches that got moved. And I think they got moved
You may
because
want to speak up a little louder.
Sorry. It's because of the benches that got moved that we've been asked about by constituents. And by removing them and not knowing where they are, I think some of us would like to see those back. That's why the change here.
Councillor McCauley and Councillor Zede.
So I just would like to correct some things. There is no seating on In Street whatsoever. We've ruled that out. We've always ruled that out. There were plans for that 4 years ago, but we've never allowed it. So there are no plans on In Street. You know, yes, they have sufficient property out back to be able to host this. I do think that part of their business plan coming into the new community was to activate these seats out front. You know, if the appetite is for not 600 feet and to go to 300 feet in front of the building, because that's what the ordinance says, they have the right to go out in front of their building along the way. This would activate as a sidewalk, let's say, potentially at the 300 feet. It would fit accordingly if that would appease some of the concerns that my fellow councilors have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Zede had his hand up, and then Harmon.
Go ahead, I'll yield, I'll go after, if that's all right.
Councillor Harmon.
Thank you. I think I agree with maybe the compromise-ish that we're landing on. New business opening for their first season, cutting off a large chunk of tables, whether it was right or wrong that they had the assumption that they would have access to those. I can guarantee you if I were a business owner doing the planning, I would be counting all of those tables as revenue during the high season in Newburyport. I fully appreciate and respect the concerns around, you know, clutter or you know, making it harder to walk through the Bullnose and Market Square. I haven't had any problem with that when Vera was there. So, and the last point that hasn't been made, which I would just put out there is, you know, for a new business trying to make a name for themselves, having tables tucked behind the building and in street is great for people who know about the restaurant, but having those tables with umbrellas along the front, maybe a single row with the 300 square feet that the Ward 5 councillor described as a compromise that we could keep the benches, put the benches back, allow them to have a little bit of an extra handful of tables where they'll get a little bit more visibility and give them some comfort that they'll be able to stay alive.
Councillor Zede, then Councillor Preston and Shand.
I'll make a motion to amend, kind of a tough one to put into words, but effectively it is to, effectively have the square footage from 600 to 300. So it'll still be a 40-foot wide width, 40-foot wide, but instead of 15 feet deep, it would be 7.5 feet. And I just want, for my own clarity, since, as everybody knows, I stink at reading plans, this edge of the building that's shown on the left side, I am imagining is the edge of the restaurant where the old Vera awnings used to end, not the edge all the way down to where it meets State Street. So that's just me saying that out loud. I think that's the best I could characterize a verbal amendment.
So the amendment is to have the square footage from 600
to 300 and reduce the depth from 15 feet to 7.5.
Okay, was there a second on that?
I'd second that, but I'd ask that it be 8 feet just for table spacing.
Sounds good.
Okay, motion made and seconded to cut the square footage from 600 feet to 300 square feet and the depth from 15 feet to 8 feet. On the motion, Councillor Preston.
Thank you. So I said this in committee. Well, let me start by saying I will not support the amendment. But I said this in committee, so I wanted to make sure to say it here as well. I have had the pleasure of dining both on the Market Square side of the restaurant, when it was the previous restaurant, as well as behind the restaurant. And I can tell you that it's a very different experience. It is a much at least for me, was a much more pleasant experience to dine on the Market Square side of the restaurant as opposed to the in-street, well, I guess behind the restaurant, along in-street. And I have had the pleasure of dining there in several occasions, and in every instance, frankly, Market Square is quite quiet in the evenings, with the exception of Yankee Homecoming and the Christmas tree lighting. I can't ever recall a time that Market Square was really bustling in the evenings. And so I don't see where there is this great deal of concern with crowding in Market Square. If we were to allow for the 600 square feet for La Rosa that we previously allowed for Vera. I think we're sort of making a problem where there is not a problem. And to be very clear, we've had a single resident who reached out about a bench who had seen, and to be very clear, well, let me just first say, I have communicated with that resident that reached out to us immediately after we met at the Lax Parks Commission meeting. I gave her an update on where we are with things. But we are really looking at a single resident communicating about a single bench, and I think there is a solution to bring this bench back. And I want to be clear too, that the resident that reached out to us has no relation to the bench. She had seen it on Facebook is where it really came from, about that the bench had a family plaque on it. And I am super sensitive to that. I mean, if I said this in committee, if I spent $5,000 on a bench to honor my father and then it just disappeared, I would be exceedingly upset about that. And that's why I do want to make this commitment to making sure that the benches come back, especially those with memorial plaques on them. But I think there is a way for residents and non-residents, frankly, to enjoy dining on the Market Square side of the restaurant, as well as bringing back the benches. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Granis, then Councillor Lane, Councillor Khan.
Council President.
On the amendment. Yep.
Yeah. So with this amendment, would these benches be guaranteed to be installed back in? Or is this just we're making assumptions that by limiting the square footage, that the benches will be back? Thank you.
Good question. Somebody can answer that in their comment. Yeah, I think that would be the assumption, that you would adjust the benches, but.
I can't
Council
guarantee,
President,
but
yeah.
certainly the conversation that I had with Special Projects Manager Turner and Special Parks Manager Hennessy is that they agree that they would really like to see the benches come back, and they feel that there is a way to have the benches and the footprint that we've previously enjoyed with Vera. Again, I can't guarantee that commitment to it, but that was certainly the gist of our conversation.
All right, I think Councillor Lane and then Councillor Khan.
I just would want to add to the amendment that it's only allowed 2 seats, not 3, because the third seat's going to stick out right in the middle between the table and where the benches are, and you're going to have people walking by, and at some point you're going to have a problem there. Someone's going to bump a chair, or they're going to be sitting too far out having drinks, or it's
roped, right?
Trying to compromise. I don't think it's a good spot for these at all, but I would limit it to 2 seats on each side of the table, not 3 seats, so you have somebody sitting in the middle of where the table, like I said, it's a walkway.
Okay, Councillor Khan, and then I think Councillor Shand. Looks like she has her hand up.
Yeah, thank you. I went back to find the Vera plan, because I do remember when we approved that, and that was June 8th, 2020. So that was during the pandemic. And I remember also sitting there at Vera, and I don't remember it being 2 layers deep. So I think that's a modification from the 2020 plan. So it may have very well been, but I can't find that plan because we've gotten rid of our past meetings. So I'd love to see the original Vera plan. I don't think it was this big. With that said, I like the compromise. I think I'm willing to reach that. I think right now it's 15 feet away from the building, which is pretty, I think, excessive. I think moving it to 8 feet, I think, which was the friendly amendment or the kind of compromise, I would be good with that. And then I do think next time this comes around, we do look and see what makes sense. And if we're referencing the past Vera seating, let's take a look at that if that helps us. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Shand, no. Anybody else? Councillor Preston.
Just really briefly, so I have myself dined there when it was Vera, and there were 2 rows of tables. So I don't know what the previous plans looked like. I just know that that's my lived experience. And then to the councillor from Ward 6 point, there was always a fence gate, I don't know what you would really call it, around all of the tables. So there would be no possibility for a chair to sort of back into people as they go by.
Mr. McCauley?
Yes, I just, the Vera, the latest Vera approval before they went out of business is on file with the clerk's office. They keep the administration of all of these things done. The applicant The applicant had sent in their application, and we had checked that with the application going forward on file with the clerk's office to be able to do that, and we found that they were the same. So there was an updated one from 2020 in there, because I'm not sure exactly when they went out of business, but
2022, you mean?
2022 there
Yeah,
was,
the
yes.
first one was 2020. That's the one I'm
Yeah,
curious about, because
yeah.
2022, there was an update to it.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Councillor Lane.
So, just to reply to the at-large councillor through the chair, the gate you're thinking of is actually movable,
Yeah.
movable sectioning. So now you're talking about putting that in the mix too, in that, between the bench, between where the benches are going to go back and the tables. So now you're even adding more madness to that area. I mean, it's, I don't know. I'm going to vote no. It's not a good spot for it, but.
Okay, so we have the motion. Any further discussion? And the motion again to amend the square footage from 600 to 300 square feet and change the depth from 15 feet to 8 feet. Roll call on the amendment.
Councillor Granis.
No.
Councillor Harmon.
Yes.
Councillor Khan.
Yes.
Councillor Lane.
No.
Councillor McCauley.
No.
Councillor Preston.
This is on the amendment, correct?
Yes.
No.
Councillor Shan.
Yes.
Councillor Wright.
No.
Councillor Zede.
Yes.
Councillor Donahue.
Yes.
Councillor Cameron.
No.
6 noes, motion fails.
Okay, so we're back to the,
Motion approved.
Second.
So,
Councillor Zede.
I just want to, offer just one other thought, and that is that, I think we look at these often as what looks good there, or what makes sense there, what doesn't make sense. But I'm looking at it more as just what's more consistent across what we're offering, like all restaurants, or we're being sort of generally fair with what we offer. And I know that this comes in as a parklet application, but again, to me, it's more akin to sidewalk seating, which existed long before parklets ever came around. And if you walk up State Street, customarily what you see is one row of tables or a row of clothing or whatever the wares are that they're selling. And, I realize that that's imperfect and there are other issues in accessibility and so forth, but generally that's been the trend. And I thought this would be fair. I don't know what's going to happen now, but I just wanted to offer that perspective instead of just looking at every plot and saying, what can we fit here or not fit here, just being more fair.
Okay, Councillor Lane.
I would actually like to see this stay in committee, personally, to get more information from Parks about those benches and actually take a look at, see how much is left once the benches go back in. I think voting right now on this is not voting with all the right information. So to get those benches back in, to take a look at it and see what it actually looks like. I mean, I don't want to shoot down the argument. I see both sides of it. But I would be more comfortable holding this in committee further until we have more information.
Councillor McCauley.
I understand this. Outdoor dining season starts in a couple of weeks. And we've had no indication at the committee meeting that people were that concerned about the benches 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, however long we've been doing this. And the benches, the anchors have been removed from the benches. When the Market Square was part of Parks, they took them out. They have them in storage somewhere. The benches will come back when they want. There's no guarantee they're coming back this year. There's no guarantee they're coming back this fall, this fall or anything like that. They're not going to happen. They're not going to come back during the summer season that we have right now. We've had 0 complaints on this particular restaurant. We've had complaints with other restaurants, but we've had 0 complaints on this restaurant. They seem to be able to live within their boundaries of their roped-in fence going forward here. And it's awkward that we're trying to take a stand on something now that we haven't taken a stand on 6 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, and now we want to take a stand on this going forward. I understand people want to have an interest in this, but on the other hand, The parks manager has committed to getting the benches back with enough space. I think we've got to rely on that going forward. Other than that, we'll never make a decision, because the benches may never come back. The benches may be lost, whatever the case may be. So I am going to vote for this. I think it's the right thing. If we want to revisit it over the fall as we do and tweak it, there are some restaurants we've tweaked along the way over the course of the year. But I think we're too far down an alley to put restrictions like this on a new owner that we're trying to be welcoming to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Donahue.
Thank you. I just want to make one point of clarity there in response that this business owner has no track record. They're brand new. So we can't say that they have been good players or stay within their means or anything like that, because we frankly have no clue what kind of business owner they're going to be. So that's a leap of faith completely. I mean, let's hope that they'll be good players, but there's no guarantees in that.
All right, Councillor Granis.
Thank you. So just real quick, the owner of this restaurant has purchased this property. They're not renters. They're in it for the long haul. They've spent probably multiple millions of dollars. And I think to cut off a significant portion of their income is not the right way to welcome a restaurant into town. Not only a restaurant, but an owner of this property. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Zede?
I don't like the idea that we're supposed to somehow assess the kindness of the owner or something to decide what they should get. This is where you need to have fairness and rules that are sort of fair to everybody. That's what I keep coming back to. So I hope they're very nice. I hope to enjoy it myself, but that wouldn't be the balance point for me. So, and lastly, yeah, I mean, the Ward 2 councilor brought this up at the beginning, but the expectation's hard. I mean, people come in expecting that this square footage exists. I mean, anybody who's ever leased a property, how many square feet do I get? And making a bold assumption that something exists or is guaranteed is hard. So I'm bummed that the compromise didn't pass, but I think these things are always subject to public debate because they are public assets.
Councillor Preston.
I'll be brief since we've talked about this a lot. I would really hope that we can give this restaurant and this restaurant owner a chance on this. I agree with the councillor from Ward 5 that, frankly, there was no indication in committee that there was a major concern around this. And certainly, I was left with the impression that this would get passed. I think they were left with the impression that it would pass. And I would hope that we would give them a shot. And frankly, if it does not work out, I will be first in line to say no when they come in with the application for next year. But I would hope that we could, at the very least, give them that shot. Thank you.
Councillor Lane.
I did raise some concern at committee with various events that go on and what I personally went through with Yankee Homecoming and the roped off and it was closed and it was a nightmare. It was just not right. So, I mean, I'm going to motion that we...
Call the question. Table. What do you want to do?
I'd motion for, similar to the last motion, only 7 feet, to bring back that motion, because it's either that or it stays in committee till we have more information. That's my two, that's what I go. Thank you.
Okay, motion made and seconded, so essentially changing the depth from...
Point of order, I don't think you can, once you've made the motion and you've had the amendment and you've already put that amendment down, I don't think you can revisit it again and just changing it a little bit. I think that's part of Robert's rules, that you can't change it.
It's essentially the same amendment.
It's essentially the same amendment. It's already gone through its process, I'm sorry.
That makes sense.
To table it first.
Yeah, then I'll motion to table it to, what's the next date?
table or continue? You don't need a date if you're tabling.
All right, table it, yeah.
Okay, motion to table, is there a second?
Second.
Not debatable.
Undebatable, so that means we just vote on it?
Does.
Okay,
We're voting to table?
To table to
We're
our
going to
next
table.
council meeting?
It's just,
Table.
Just a table.
Oh, just table it as a whole, okay.
Councillor Granis?
No.
Councillor Harmon?
No.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
No.
Councillor Preston?
No.
Councillor Shan?
No.
Councillor Wright?
No.
Councillor Zede?
yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
no.
Motion fails.
Okay, let's go. Let's vote.
Okay, so we are left with the motion
Can,
to
another vote.
approve, which was made by somebody and seconded by somebody, and I've lost track of that, but I'm sure the
Long time ago.
clerk is paying
It's
attention to
around
that, and we'll review the
Councillor
tape.
Wright by Councillor McCauley. Seconded.
Councillor Wright and seconded by Councillor McCauley. So we will have a roll call on that.
Councillor Granis? Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
No.
Councillor Lane?
No.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shan?
No.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
No.
Councillor Donahue?
No.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It passes at 6.
Get ready for your 10:30 rule, Councillor Wright. Next on your licenses and permits agenda?
I really wish it was so I'll make a motion to extend the meeting beyond 10:30.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councillor Granis? Sure. Okay, all those in favor, roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon? Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane? Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shan?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Motion to approve application 247.
Second.
So this is for the Newburyport Pride Parade and Festival. Holly Cashman appeared before the council. There's a little bit of confusion and the need for an amended application. They had an initial application that they needed to amend. So this is the amended application. It's in your notes. It's much the same as in last year's event. They're asking for road closures between Pleasant Street, on Pleasant Street between Green and Titcombe Street. They've agreed to post signs in advance of the event to the neighbours affected on Pleasant Street, the residents, and they've asked for the streets to be closed from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. I think they amended that to be later, 10 a.m. Is the start date of that, and it was approved. Also, the insurance is being provided by the city, as it's a city event, so there's no need for an insurance binder for this event. So this case was approved out of committee 2-0.
Okay, thank you. Discussion? Councillor Zede?
I just want to ask a question. Are any private funds being raised and expended towards this, or gifts or grants,
Do we know?
or
Mr. McCauley?
sponsorships? or-
Yes. The answer is yes. The city is providing, this year, the city's now providing insurance coverage as a parade, and that's it. They are paying for police details and any of their other incidentals going forward. That's what we were told, so.
So my only point in saying this is, again, all things should be held to the same standard. So it can't be two things. It's either a city event. If it's a city event, then it makes perfect sense that the city provides insurance and all that stuff. However, the balance point to that is that that kind of private money would need to be accepted as a gift, grant, or donation. That's customary. Or it's a private event. in which case donations and gifts don't have to come through the council, but then the city needs to be at arm's length from that. So this has been an ongoing challenge with not just this event, but many. So every year I feel like I stand up and say, can you please draw the lines clearly so we can see where they are and we don't have any mix-ups or misunderstandings or a bad situation with liability arise. And it sounds like it's two things, and it can't be two things. It can only be one thing.
Further discussion? Hearing none. Councilor Harmon?
Yes, thank you. Pride is a 501c3 nonprofit, so much like Pride organizations in many cities, that they formulate that. So they take in money as a nonprofit to fund the festivities. I'm basing my information on the decision on whether insurance applies based on the guidance from Director Manning. I won't pretend to be an expert beyond that. I will note that I believe 3 representatives from Newburyport Pride were here earlier. So it's unfortunate that they couldn't stay and answer those questions. I appreciate the License and Permits Committee for getting us to this point, and I hope that we can push this through without any significant or material risk based on the guidance from the director.
Thank you. Councilor McCauley?
Yeah, so we've gone through a series of evaluations and reviews. We actually had a legal opinion on this that came out, which all it said was that the process that we have, which is an application, a committee, a full council vote, actually protects the city because it's been vetted in a number of different ways. And it is, in a way, protected government speech. It's not a singular entity that says, yes, we're going to do this. We're going to throw a parade, regardless of the group. We're going to throw a parade. But actually, our checks and balances that we put into place allow the government, us, to actually be able to commit to an event like this. It's not a city event. It's a city sponsor. The city is one of its sponsors along the way. So in many ways, the 501c3 may have to accept the city's in-kind donation of insurance on their own financial forms that they have, their 990, that they would have to file going forward. It would be cleaner if the 501c3 developed a little bit more. They've been in the incubator stage for the last couple of years, and if they could move off and we could have that clean cutoff, it would be better for everyone involved. I understand they're not quite there yet, and so I think this is the best pathway we can get them towards going forward.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll have a roll call on application 247.
Councilor Granis?
Yes.
Councilor Harmon?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane?
Yes.
Councilor McCauley?
Yes.
Councilor Preston?
Yes.
Councilor Shan?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Zede?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Cameron?
Yes. Okay. Application passes 11-0. 248, Councilor Wright?
Yes, motion to approve application 248.
Second.
This is an application for the Cultural Survival Arts Bazaar for July 19th and 20th of this year. This is exactly the same as the event that was managed last year. And they are asking for use of some of the spaces in and around the area of the Market Street area.
Okay, discussion?
And this came out of committee with a recommendation of 3-0 to approve.
Thank you. Discussion? Councilor Lane?
Just an example of how outdoor dining in that spot is going to be a problem.
Okay. Further discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call.
Councilor Granis?
Yes.
Councilor Harmon?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
No. Yes, sorry.
Councillor
No idea where
Shan?
that came from.
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Dennehy?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Passes.
Thank you. A motion to approve application 250.
Second.
So this is again, this is a repeat request from the Basin Apparel Company. What they would like to do is what they've done in previous years is to have 2 tents, as indicated in the design. It's in front of the building at 19 Water Street. The tent on Water Street will be outside of their front door. That's a large section of sidewalk there. It's about 22 feet. And then their second tent will be in the walkway on Ferry Wharf. And that's a smaller tent. Both tents will be put up and taken down in the same day. This was also, all the insurance is in place. And this came out of committee with an approval for 3-0 as well.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Councillor Gronis? Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Dennehy?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
Motion to approve application 254.
Second.
So this is an application for a movable sign located at 5 to 7 Perry Way, Unit 5 in Newburyport. It's for Merrimack Valley Glass and Mirror. You can see the insurance binders here in the dock. There's a picture of the sign that has been actually there for many, many years, and only came to the applicant's notice that he needed a permit for it. And so as soon as he was notified of that, he went ahead and requested a permit. This was approved out of committee 3-0.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, roll call on application 254.
Councillor Gronis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Yes.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston?
Yes.
Councillor Shand?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Dennehy?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
And nothing further for me this evening. Thank you.
You, Councilor Wright. Okay, we want to do planning and development, or we want to talk with the chief of staff?
I can be quick.
Okay,
Thank you.
go ahead.
So we don't have anything coming out of committee, but we will be meeting next Tuesday to deal with some of the appointments that we have in our committee from tonight. And then a reminder that we do have the joint hearing with the planning board on May the 7th with the ordinance 178 for the signs and the FEMA maps as well. So that's it for P&D.
Okay. So, Chief of Staff Seer.
Thank you, Council President. Just an update. I spoke with the mayor. We are not able to give those numbers tonight. It is a deliberative process, so we do apologize if there's miscommunication. However, it's protected data at the moment, and to release it now would not be in good faith and also not in the spirit of open meeting law. So, sorry.
Okay. Any questions? To be continued, Councilor Preston?
Yeah, I would just point out that the mayor was standing at your elbow when that commitment was made at our last council meeting. So I don't understand why you and the mayor would have made that commitment at our last meeting and then come to us tonight when we clearly have exhibited a desire to have this and tell us that you're just not going to provide it for us. I'm greatly disappointed. Thank you.
Mr. McCauley, Public Works and Safety.
Motion to approve ordinance 197.
Second.
Thank you. In the committee, we voted 3-0 to move this out. This was a situation where We wanted clarity, again, because of the parking program and parking clerk snafu that we ran into in terms of where it was going to go and how complaints would be heard. This was an outshoot of a communication presented earlier by the sponsor as well. And really what it did was it codified some best practices of things we already do, particularly around material complaints and non-material complaints. Non-material complaints being categorized as parking tickets adjudicated by the parking clerk, and further appeal would go to Superior Court. And material complaints, which are really the crux of this, which any complaint about a parking staff member or the parking clerk themselves would be transmitted to the council president, who would have 7 days to transmit that complaint to the entire council. Council president acting as the point of contact for the council in this turn, and then the council would have 60 days in turn to issue a report or a finding back to the clerk, the parking clerk's office, regarding this fee going on. We had minimal input from the administration, except to acknowledge that the parking clerk and city clerk, being the same person right now, but they both would have to abide by the employee handbook, and that's simply all the input we had going forward. So again, we had approved it to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call.
Councillor Granis?
Yes.
Councillor Harmon?
Present.
Councillor Khan?
Yes.
Councillor Lane?
Yes.
Councillor McCauley?
Yes.
Councillor Preston? Councillor Shan?
Yes.
Councillor Wright?
Yes.
Councillor Zede?
Yes.
Councillor Donahue?
Yes.
Councillor Cameron?
Yes.
We had also in the committee, we had a visit from the police marshal, Matt Simons, as I often do, I invite the department heads in to give us an update as to where things are going forward. Marshal Simons was in attendance. He wanted to give us an update on his stated goals when he took office going forward, and those were to listen, to communicate, and to build relationships. He talked about a number of items. I'll kind of briefly touch the high points on it. He came with the idea he was going to speak for 15 minutes and left 45 minutes later because he was very excited and passionate about some of the things he had. Staffing, they have numbers for 29 patrol, but their budget right now is carrying 24, including one that's at the academy. They will have a need. They have 2 pending leave, and they have 1 retirement. We might have seen it in the paper already. Civil service is still an obstacle to hiring and retention of patrol. Working collectively with the state and other communities to allow a local presence, which is a 50% outside civil service type of thing, but the state has to acknowledge that, similar to a home rule petition for all of these types of communities going forward. We hope to complete recruitment of a multicultural, multilingual patrol officer who would then have to go to the academy. We have 4 full-time dispatchers, and we're trying to use 2 part-time. There was an increase in a rate per hour, but that's to fill coverages and to control the need for overtime going forward. The building itself is starting to show its age. We replaced the generator this year. It was an emergency type of situation, but they have problems with their HVAC, roof, sprinklers, doors. We've already made some movement to allocate funds to help them with the doors on that. Also, they had to, there's repeaters going in and Anna Jake's in conjunction with the fire department, but the police needed them earlier, so they had to install some temporary repeaters up there until the permanent solution is fixed in this fall. It was an unbudgeted expense that they have incurred within their budget. And here's where I think that he's meeting and exceeding the expectations he created with us regarding community involvement. These are just a number of things that he and his staff have done. They continue to have a coffee with a cop at both the Senior Center and Heritage House. They use downtown trick or treat, plus they increase their visible presence in the neighborhood that night in riding through the mall at least twice. They filled the cruiser for a food drive. Their honor guard has been more active than they have been in the past. They have a roaming Meet the Marshal gathering. Some are good, some are bad, but everybody wants to say hello to the new marshal. The school resource officer, as we read in the paper, is almost award-winning in terms of being embraced by the school community. They have meetups with local charities, the new program with the Beacon Coalition offering a liaison, a special liaison to Anna Jakes. They've reestablished a link to the Human Rights Commission. They have Project Lifesaver, which is already registering users. They have a Silver Alert, which is already registering users. We heard some of that earlier tonight. They had their autism awareness campaign. They have a TIP program where they had 8 people who volunteered and completed 40 hours of training to help survivors of trauma, and they work hand in glove with the police officers. They have 2 new cruisers. He will make them more visible. They're in black. He wants to make them have more white lettering along the way, and so they'll be less intimidating to folks. We approved last year new mobile data units in all of the cruisers as an upgrade, and they're completing that out. They have some department-wide training on work-life balance, offering the officers a wellness program. There's the Essex County Outreach Program, which we have commitments to and are driving a lot of the needs there, which is support mental health for fellow officers. They had a website relaunch, including many of the enforcement statistics people are looking for, speeding, tickets issued, traffic studies, all kinds of forms that you want to have going forward. There were some questions as well, as they always are. Have they had any requests for security camera feeds from other departments? The answer is no. Speeding on High Street, the plan is for directed enforcement randomly over the next month or so. We've also, in partnership with DPS, we've purchased another mobile sign and a mobile electronic speed sign, which is on High Street right now, and there'll be another one coming shortly along the way. The intent is to raise awareness with drivers and to move them around the city going forward. Councilor Donahue had brought up handicap parking enforcement, namely placard abuse, and raised the issue. It wasn't top of mind to them, but they will get some training and make it going forward. So all in all, I think I'd like to thank the marshal for attending, but I also think that the message here is that we're looking for better community policing. We're looking for better outreach into our community, and we hired somebody who made commitments to us. And from the list here, he's living up to those commitments, as well as his staff is. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it for committee reports. Anything to add to good of the order? Hearing.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, made and seconded. Roll call.
Councilor Granis? Councilor Harmon?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane?
Yes.
Councilor McCauley?
No.
Councilor Preston?
Yes.
Councilor Shan?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Zede?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Cameron?
Yes. Thank you.